What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the tavern. I'm Spencer,
I'm Eli.
And I'm Dauntless.
and this is Bardic Blunders. We got our friend Dauntless back for another episode.
Return guest. He isn't sick of us yet.
No. I don't the first time I don't work a Tuesday in like 2 to 3 months. Hooray.
I don't know how everyone isn't sick of us yet. We should have been
You're
taken off the
amusing.
air a long time ago. Instead, we're pushing 75 episodes now. What's on the menu? Meat's back on the menu. That's what's on the... Okay.
Okay.
What? You don't
Meaty
know the...
gossip.
You don't know the Lord of the Rings quote, Eli?
Mate's back on the menu, boys.
No, I don't have wine, Ian. I don't drink.
Jesus drank wine.
Jesus turned water into wine, yes.
But Spencer doesn't like wine.
Well, yeah, wine is gross anyways.
Well,
and-
hold on, red or white. They're different. One's more like juice, one's more like booze.
I think both taste terrible.
White wine
drink
tastes
white.
white wine's like juice. Yeah, white wine.
Yeah.
I do not like any wine I've tried. So the reason I have to clarify this because people think that I don't drink because I'm Christian. The only stipulation
No.
the Bible puts on consuming alcohol is not to get drunk. So there was a period of time where I did
So you
drink,
can get
but
buzzed?
I mean, you're not
He's
supposed
been
to.
buzzed
like,
before.
Like what level is drunk? Is drunk like plastered, like blackout, or is drunk like I feel warm in my belly and I'm happy?
to the point where you're making poor decisions because of that. Whenever you like essentially
Okay, so I can
taking-
drink as long as I don't drive. Got it.
yeah, yes, exactly. No,
I can just drink whenever I want then.
I actually stopped drinking because I was.
What if you already make poor decisions? Are you just a lost cause? We're just
Oh
teasing you.
boy.
It's
No, I
just
stopped.
the question of, so I should just never drink again.
I stopped drinking because when you're working out, drinking alcohol is bad for you while you're working out. You're not supposed to because.
Well, drinking alcohol is bad.
I mean,
for you.
drinking alcohol is bad for you in the first place. Yes,
It's
but
literally just like flavored poison.
it's especially bad whenever you're like when you're training. If you drink it in too close proximity to your workout, it can replace the lactic acid that builds up in your muscles with alcohol, and just completely eliminate any benefits you would have gotten from weight training.
Yeah.
So-
I'm not much of a drinker. Not really I guess subconsciously for personal reasons, but it was like, it was okay. It was never like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like a rum and coke is like nice if you have like a dinner like out, but like that's about it.
See, as soon as I turned 21, I spent like 2 or 3 years trying just about everything I was interested in, and now I've gotten to the point where I'm like,
I guess
it's
I mean,
expensive and I don't really like it that much. So
yeah, that's true. I guess I'll drink socially. Like if I'm out with friends and it's there, I won't say no. But I'm
That's-
never gonna be like at home.
that's the way
With a
I was.
cooler.
Like when me and my friends would like go out to watch a hockey game or a football game, I'd be like, yeah, I'll have one
You-
cider.
you get a
I
beer.
would never drink. I don't drink beer. I don't like the taste of beer, but I would drink. Angry Orchard was my drink of choice.
I liked Vex, which I'm the only Canadian who likes Vex.
I'm not
So
familiar
Vex-
with that one.
So do you know Mike's Hard Lemonade?
Yes.
Okay. Vex was that, but stronger. So Mike's is like 6 to 9. Vex was 12 to 15.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a lot of alcohol.
and it's commonly associated as the Canadian Por Loco,
Yep.
Okay.
I knew exactly
Which-
what it was.
which Por Loco is not. It's banned in Canada, even though they changed the recipe up, so it's not as deadly, but it's still not allowed here. Vex was the Canadian version of it, except it was exclusively lemonade and then variations of like lemonade, where it was really potent, where it was like 12 to 15, and it came in a pack of 4, and it was pretty good in my opinion. But no one I ever have talked to since was like, oh my God, yeah, Vex. So
I stayed away from Four Loko because of the reputation it had being a caffeinated alcohol beverage. I was just like, that seems like extra bad decision juice right
it's
there.
like what if Monster plus espresso plus like vodka, and it's just like, oh god.
Yeah.
I used to drink
It's
Four
the-
Locos before going to work.
Oh my
That sounds
gosh,
very
of
like
course
Eli.
you did.
Not to be parasocial, but that sounds exactly like an Eli thing.
That
No,
I mean,
don't worry.
Just an Eli moment.
there's
you know?
a reason he doesn't drink anymore. There's a reason he's sober now.
Does
Yeah,
he
I
have a
also-
liver?
Yeah, that's debatable. Also, I got a Christmas present from one of my coworkers, which was a $200 bottle of vodka.
Oh,
And she was like, "Oh, I didn't know if you were a rum or this kind of alcohol guy." I'm like, "I don't drink." And she goes, "Oh, never mind then. Enjoy the desk ornament." I was like, "Thank you."
Hmm.
Oh,
It's also
boy.
kind of crappy too, because especially the kind of person I am. Unless we go to a bar and I can buy my own drink, like if I'm going to someone's house and they have alcohol, like I'm always under the assumption, I never assume that it's BYOB, like bring your own. So I'm like, excuse me, can I please have a cooler? Like, I'm so awkward with people nowadays because it's just I would rather just like, do you got like a Coke or like a root beer?
Oh, see,
Instead.
I just assume that it's bring your own, and I'll get there and they'll be like, "Oh, we had drinks for you." I'm like, "Oh, I just
Yeah.
I didn't want to take any of your stuff, so I just brought my water."
I mean, especially down here where we live, it's like everybody does the bring your own, that we all show up with our own drinks, and then the host
Yeah.
is like, "Great, I bought 6 2-liters and everybody brought their own drinks."
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for parties, we don't. That's not necessarily what happens, but definitely like whenever we hang out, when we do a game night or whenever we do D&D or something like that,
Yeah.
it's everybody just shows up with their own food.
What I've been messing with lately that I think is a healthy addiction is do you guys have Mios? MIO?
That's the liquid you put in water, or the stuff you put in water, right? To flavor
Yeah,
it?
yeah. It's like Crystal Light, but it actually tastes
Yeah.
good. and
Yeah.
it's sugarless. I adore that stuff. There's only 2 flavors that I actually like, but that stuff's really good.
I used to love
I
that
do
in high
Crystal
school.
Light, so
So growing up, I did Crystal Light, and now I no longer like Crystal Light. So, because to me,
Yeah.
Crystal Light's like the grandma version of it.
well, it
'Cause
is.
it's only because it's like strawberry kiwi and like really bad lemonade. Those are like the only flavors of Crystal Light.
Well, we have a lot of flavors down here because
Yeah,
I have
not in Canada. We have,
lemon
like-
tea.
We have
sitting
like
down
2,
in the
and it's
closet.
like the most grandma flavors known to man.
See, I'm
But-
even more basic. I don't flavor water at all. I just drink straight water.
I don't flavor water when I don't have anything else. I'll still drink water. Like, I don't love city water. I do prefer country water. I don't know if this is just tinfoil hat, but country water does taste better.
Oh,
just because
see,
it's more iron and stuff. But
people call me crazy whenever I'm like, yeah, this
No.
brand of water sucks. This brand of water sucks. This one tastes pretty good. They're like,
Yeah.
it's all the same. I'm
Purified
like,
water-
it's not all the
pure-
same. It's not.
purified water is awful.
Dasani
Like, you,
Dasani is literally the worst
yeah.
form of
Go to a
liquid that has
dentist.
ever been
Yeah.
created with the intention of human consumption.
Every dentist's office has the same water jug they've had since that office was created because no one drinks that disgusting water.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah,
How do you feel about carbonated water? Just like Perrier or something, where it's just water and carbonation.
it's not my thing. I'd rather just drink regular water.
That's fair.
I don't mind some
Now, put it with
sparkling waters.
Mio's.
Like, have you ever had ice?
Yeah.
Like, I love ice. Ice is delicious. But that's kind of like
are you not a LaCroix fan?
no, LaCroix tastes terrible.
No, LaCroix is like, oh, we added a drop of flavoring into this drink. Enjoy.
Hey, what if we
I don't like watered down flavors at all.
what if we drove this truck of sparkling water, buy some lemons, and then put
Yeah.
TV static inside of it?
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, no, I don't like LaCroix.
Yeah.
Or like, have you guys ever had Liquid Death? It's an oxymoron.
Yes.
Liquid Death isn't too bad.
I was
My
so
sister
convinced. I'm like,
drinks it
there's.
all the
I,
time.
I was so convinced. Like, there's no way it's just water. It's got to be like something. It's like, oh no, it's just water. Okay.
It's water with flavoring.
Yep.
It's so dumb.
Oh,
I'm a sucker for logos, and Liquid Death looks cool, which is why I bought it.
It does look cool. And
It's also why I've only really drank Monster, because I just like the logo. Like energy drink wise, I don't like Red Bull, and I can't stand Rockstar. It's too obnoxious. I like Monster because it's edgy, and I like that.
Do you have Ghost in Canada?
No, our Canadian exclusive energy drink is Reign, and it's awful. Like REIGN.
We have that down here.
Oh, you have Reign? Never mind.
It's terrible. And it sucks.
I always judge. Yes, it is Razor
original.
High. I always judge an energy drink based off of the original flavor. That's why I like Monster, because my favorite flavor of Monster is the original, whatever green is. I don't really know what flavor it is. It's just Monster.
It's pretty much it's Monster green. Flavored.
Yeah, and then Rockstar is like okay. The sugar-free Rockstars are honestly the best flavor of Rockstar. Everything else is just, it's like Sunny D. It's like too sugary for an adult. It's like, oh.
See, my favorite energy drink brand is Ghost, and they do their whole lineup is sugar-free, but they have like Sour Patch Kids and Warheads and Swedish Fish, and like when I tell you I've never had a sour liquid before that's actually tasted like it's sour, like it's perfect. It's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
To
me that's sparking Mountain Dew, where it's like actual like sour lemonade. I'm like, yes.
Oh yes, Ian, I was going to say I have an addiction to chewing on ice. Like I will get a drink from a place with the little nugget ice, the ones that are like little pebbles, and I will, every time I take a drink, just mouthful of ice as well and sit there and chew that. I don't know why, but I love chewing ice. It's
so like... I have always, ever since I can remember, I've always had sensitive teeth. I've just either not flossing or brushing growing up. I don't really care. Like I can handle cold things, but the idea of biting something cold like ice cream or like an ice cream sandwich or a popsicle, even now, just makes me like shudder. I can't handle it. So I could never crunch ice.
Yeah,
I can't bite an ice cream sandwich. Like I can't.
I've never had that problem. I shattered a tooth actually relatively recently, and I have to get it. It's so expensive to get a tooth pulled. But
I have to get a root canal or a removal, and I'm like, just take that thing out. It's like it's a tooth that it's in the back of my jaw, so it's not going to affect my voice. Just I'll get pliers, just rip that out. Numb me up, just take it out. I'm not root canal is like $2,000 here. It's like no.
Mine shattered bad enough I can't grab it with anything. It's just like the very little edge of the tooth.
What did you shatter it on? Like a jawbreaker?
No, I was just Christmas Eve with my family. I was just eating, what was it, like crackers or something?
Time. Christmas crack? That's really crunchy.
Just okay. like plain crackers, and the tooth just exploded. And I had
that's
to stop.
My biggest fear.
I was playing. I was like Santa, so I was handing out the gifts to everybody. It'd be like I'd read out the name, who it was from, and then hand it to them, and they'd open it, and then I was facilitating that. And in the middle of that, I just grab a cracker and take a bite of it, feel my tooth explode, and just this surge of pain. I go and spit my tooth out in the trash can, and then just like play it straight for the rest of the night until it hit the point where I was like, I can't take this anymore.
It is one of the body's most cruel design flaws of just how painful dental damage is. It's so unfair.
Oh my god. Well, I think I have to stop myself because I could absolutely go on a rant. I think it's ridiculous that the US healthcare system considers anything dental cosmetic. Like this thing in my face upset? That's hurting me.
We have free healthcare except for dentistry.
Yeah, like
dentistry is the only thing we don't get.
What is it with dentistry? I don't get it. I did learn recently that you can seal up small cavities in your teeth if you swish K2 and vitamin D. Like if you
there's also brushing your teeth with baking soda. That's also been
because it has those vitamins in it.
It tastes like filth, but yeah.
But yeah, it will heal. Like I mean, it won't fix my tooth being gone.
No.
But you know, that's I'm actually going to start doing that. But like that, why? I don't get that. I'm gonna try not to rant about that though. We're gonna.
I'm upset about it too. It's the main reason I haven't been to a dentist, because it's just like, oh, you don't have coverage? Well, that'll be $500 just as like the entry fee, and it's just like,
oh yeah, ours is like, oh, hey, you have coverage, but your insurance won't cover that.
Yeah,
great. For us, what's the point of this then?
Yeah, in Canada, in the whole point of like getting coverage from a workplace, it's usually exclusively for dentistry and prescriptions. That's about it.
Yeah.
Nothing else. Canada's free healthcare.
I get healthcare through my job, but the frustrating thing is the healthcare, the dental plan my job gives me doesn't have a dentist within 50 miles of me. So I'm like, what's the freaking point in this that I have to take like a 3-day trip to go see a dentist? But anyways,
give me like 10 seconds. I'll be right back. You guys talk amongst yourselves, okay?
Okay.
Take your pants off.
Shut up. So we were going to discuss Legend ZA some more. I had something actually that I had saved, and I was like, oh, I need to remember that for the podcast, and I completely forgot what it was. So, I remembered. Hold on. It's this fantastic article. I want to see if I can find it again, because I didn't find the actual article initially, but I heard about it, and I was like, that is the stupidest article that I've ever heard. That is absolutely awful. Hold on. I can't remember the name of the article, but basically to give a Cliff Notes version of what the woman in the article was saying, she was saying that if you say you don't like Chikorita as a Pokemon, you're both sexist and homophobic. I was like,
so yes and no.
What?
Because I did see this article. I'm not gonna say right now that I agree with it, but I can understand kind of the thought process. So the thought process was, especially with Gold and Silver. Gold and Silver had a big, because Red, Yellow, Blue, like the whole first gen was basically meant for guys. And then when it got popular, they were like, hey, we can broaden the horizons to have girls like our IP too. So that's why allegedly, I don't know this for a fact. It's not like Nintendo actually is going to come out and say this, but that's why in Gen 2 there's a lot more cute and cuddly Pokemon, while Gen 1 was just like edgy, spiky Pokemon for the most part, right?
Gen 1 definitely had a lot of controversial statement, boring designs, but
well, yeah, it's just like, hey, do you see that goo with eyes? That's a Pokemon. Like, and then people bitch, and then people complain about Klefki, and it's just like, you need to just back away.
I was gonna say, go look at the first generation.
Oh, you see that horse that has fire on it? It's just a horse, but it has fire on it.
Yeah, exactly. It's a horse with
fire.
You
see that bird? That's just a bird.
It's a bird. There's nothing unique about it. It's just a bird. You want to complain about my sweet little trash bag? Shut your mouth.
yeah, exactly. So Pokemon designs have always been hit or miss. But the reason why in Gen 2, the article has been stating this, it has a lot more cutesy designs for it. People didn't like it as much. What the article isn't talking about is that Gen 2 as a whole is, to date, one of the least planned out generations, like balancing wise, on a whole scale. Even now, Gen 2 as a whole kind of sucks.
Gen 2
with like minor exceptions like Tyranitar, you know? Obviously it's a pseudo legendary, it's strong, but Noctowl, the worst bird. Sentret, the worst rodent. right? The
yeah,
starters, worst
all of
stats
Gen 2
objectively
is so
across the board,
historically
right?
weak compared to the
Yes.
generations around.
It's so poorly planned that Typhlosions has the exact same stat layout as Charizard did.
Yep.
Up until Heart Gold Soul Silver, which is terrible because Typhlosion doesn't learn any like really good fire moves. It learns like Lava Plume and like that's it. Fire Blast if you teach it. Right? It's not taught out. So a lot of people use that knowledge and be like, that's why I don't like Chikorita, because not only were the starters weak, but Chikorita had like the lamest move pool, as in it had like the worst move pool. The strongest grass move it learns is Razor Leaf, and it's the worst starter for like for the first 2 gyms, right?
And it's not to mention it when you look at the franchise as a whole. The last generation that I was really into Pokemon was Gen 5, and at that point, and I think still at this point,
respect. But by the way, respect.
Oh, Gen 5's phenomenal, but Chikorita is by far the worst starter. I'm not going to comment design wise, because if you like Chikorita, that's fine. It's not my thing. I think Meganium looks cool, but
I like
basic,
dinosaurs in general, so
but cool. But
I'll agree that it is basic.
It has a terrible moveset. It has terrible stats, and it is one of the only starters that has never had any competitive viability. Yeah, exactly. It's 2 generation running mates, Typhlosion and Feraligatr don't exactly have competitive viability now, but they did at one point.
Well, so technically they do if you consider their hidden abilities, because Feraligatr can get Tough Claws or Strong Jaws depending on what generation it is.
That's true.
And Typhlosion can get White Smoke, which is very good.
Yeah, but then Meganium's just kind of left there as like
Meganium, like most grass starters, get either like Chlorophyll or like Leaf Guard, and it's just like, this is trash.
And it doesn't have a reason to use it, because if you look at the grass starter before it, Venusaur not only has better stats and a better moveset, it's got the poison type on top of it. Then you look forward, Sceptile. Sceptile is an offensive, like a physical.
I will agree though. Sceptile is also the weakest starter in Gen 3. Yeah, because it doesn't learn a good move until Sceptile. It doesn't learn Leaf Blade until it evolves into its final form.
Exactly.
Which is why I don't like Trico, because it's such a commitment before it's viable, and also there's other.
I love Trico.
There's also better grass types in that whole. I digress. Before we like continue on, I know that article. I understand how someone looking in can do with it, but I think it's not so much that it. I think it's like a basic design, like kind of uninspired, because Gen 1 had like a cool plant dinosaur, and then they're like, let's do that again but cuter, and it was just like a cool Bronchiosaurus or whatever kind of Meganium is supposed to be, with like a flower on it, and it's like green, which it is very bland compared to the other 2 at least. Plus being a bad Pokemon, I think that instilled a lot of disdain into it, you know.
Well, and that's where I don't like the article, especially. It's like, okay, if you want to make the thing because people don't like it because it's a girly Pokemon, whatever. But then when she tries to make the argument that you should like it even though it sucks or whatever. I'm like,
well,
I disagree.
I glanced at the article.
That.
I glanced at it, but if the way she meant it as in like, just don't be shallow. If you like it, don't not like it because it's the quote unquote cool thing to do. I skimmed past it because again I saw the headline and I'm like, that's kind of dumb, and then I moved on. But
oh yeah, I listened to somebody breaking down the article.
I will say though, there was a lot of hate for I forgot his name because I only played the last gen once, but for the duck.
Quaxley,
whatever the final form is.
Okay.
Where it's based off of
Quaquaval,
where it's based off of a rather erotic dance culture, right? People did legitimately complain that it was too DEI. That was a thing that I saw a lot when that game came out. Now I think Quaxlotl is the best starter visually looking out of them all. That's what I started with. I was going to do Krokorok, and then I saw the middle form, and I'm like, that looks ugly as sin. So then I didn't pick it.
That one, I actually love the Fuecoco. Is that his name? Fuecoco.
Yeah.
No,
and
the
then
first and final
Skeledirge.
forms are solid. The middle one is just butt ugly.
He looks so
Yeah, he is
stupid. I love him.
That is the worst middle evolution in the entire franchise.
I beg to differ. I think that
No, because it is the only Pokemon where I saw and I went, I don't want this Pokemon anymore. It's too ugly.
the middle evolution of Chespin in Gen 6 is hideous.
Because it makes sense if you bridge it all like kid, teenager, adult. It does make sense how he would bulk up. The middle one doesn't make sense. He just gets a hat and gets fatter. And then the third evolution,
he's
he
a fat
gets
crocodile.
really long and skinny. No, it doesn't. To me, it doesn't make sense. It's not a good bridge for the It's not a good bridge to put in the middle of the two. To get from A to Z, it's not a good D. You know.
It's funny because I had the exact opposite. I love the crocodile. I hate the duck. Quaxley, the first evolution is fine, but I don't like the two after it. I was like,
I think it's amazing. Personally, I think it looks the coolest.
Like the look of it. I'm like, why does this duck have a giant ass that doesn't?
Well, first of all, a lot of birds have plumage, which isn't really like a new thing.
That's
two, it was based off of. I think it's based. I don't know for sure, but it's based off of like some sort of like Latin belly dancing, which is meant to, look erotic, and Quaxley can be a guy, which. All starters are like 75% chance to be a guy. So there was a lot of
the cat out of the last generation,
which had its fair share of people talking about it, but for a different reason. But there was a lot. I will say the only thing I agree with the article with is that there was a lot of like unnecessary hate, being like, "Why is there a gay duck in my video game?" That's about it. Because it's not like the dance changed; it was still like an erotic footsie duck, except it could be a guy most of the time. So people were complaining about that. If in the article that is true.
Why is there a gay duck in my game? That might be one of my favorite lines from the podcast ever.
Well, I'm glad it was on a guest, baby. You're welcome.
Oh my gosh!
It's not the frogs that turn gay; it's the ducks.
Oof. That was awesome. I love that.
But
oh my god!
Only because I saw that controversy myself. I'm 100% down with it. The Chikorita being like misogynist. You're a misogynist if you don't like Chikorita. I don't think that's true. I think that's going a little bit far. But if you didn't like Quaxley because it could be a guy and it had like a little bit of an erotic like origins to its design, I think that's a little questionable at best, but that's about it.
I just think it looks weird. I don't like the way it looks is all. It's just not my favorite.
Not
design.
made it a duck. They should have made it a flamingo. That would make a lot of it.
Flamingo might have made more sense.
A peacock. Sorry, a peacock.
See, a peacock would have been interesting.
That's what I meant to say. Not a flamingo.
Its feet look weird. Its tail looks weird.
It's based off of like a Spaniard duck, okay, which are very leg day ducks. They're not like your average pond duck. Okay, there are different types of avians, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not my thing. I'm not a fan of the design.
Also, that was one of the most broken starters I have ever seen because you can teach it sword stance, and then it just.
Well, technically, competitively, Skeledirge was the most busted one because of its signature move.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Torch Song got used early.
Torch Song ruined the meta.
In Gen 9, but then Skeledirge emerged as because Torch Song was the big.
Yeah, because why would I waste a turn when I can do damage and buff at the same time? So
Torch Song plus Throat Spray just makes it unstoppable.
It was disgusting, right? It was like they didn't even care about balancing. But speaking of Chikorita, ZA talk. Let's talk about ZA. Want to talk about ZA?
So yeah,
want to talk about ZA? Pokemon Legends ZA.
Personally,
Zabada.
I've said it before. I can't really play the game because I don't have a Switch. But if I could pick, my starter pick would be Totodile, 100%.
I totally want to pick Totodile too. But because it's either going to be a new final form or a mega, because they're adding that gimmick back in, I'm tempted to pick Chikorita just to see what they do with it. And if it sucks, then I can just swap it out for any other grass type. I'm tempted to do it. However, it is a Legends game, which usually means that all the starters are catchable, because in Legends Arceus, all the starters were catchable.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So,
See, yeah, I'm willing to give Chikorita a chance. I'm willing, because
yeah,
I think
I'm intrigued.
conceptually,
I like all the starters, by the way. I don't think I love Embar. It's not Snivy, but I do love Embar. It is the second best, and Totodile I think is the best of Gen 2. But Chikorita is just like, why are you here?
Totodile. I'd also like to clarify as well, just for anybody who gets upset over my Chikorita hate. I don't like Cyndaquil that much either. I never liked Cyndaquil. Cyndaquil himself looks cute, but Typhlosion is just kind of boring to me.
They ruined Typhlosion with 3D models. They ruined a lot of Pokemon with 3D modeling, but they ruined the one cool thing about him with 3D models.
Yeah.
And that he's not forever pissed and has his like tantrum fire out his back. They just made him look like an animal with the 3D render, and he just looks like a turd. Like, it's so gross looking at him.
Yeah, I don't like. Yeah, that 3D model is bad.
Razor Bolt, you pick Chikorita.
Yeah, pick Chikorita, man. That's the thing.
I'm probably gonna pick Chikorita because I'm very intrigued of what they do with him, and also I actually do kind of want to see like a 3D Meganium. I'm hoping to scale, because like Meganium is like a big boy. I think that would be cool.
Is Meganium? I thought Meganium was like 5'11", which granted.
Well, you're a child in the game, so he's going to be towering over you, right?
Yeah, 5'11".
That's always like the thing.
I was
in Pokemon Snap, Meganium, but like in Pokemon the Snap for the Switch or whatever, Meganium was like, he is a biggin.
Oh well, so he's definitely sizable. I always thought it was. Go ahead.
Can we get an adult Pokemon game where it's like you're an adult and you're just living your life with your regular Pokemons?
There are ROM hacks that do that.
I would love that.
It's like, I gotta go to work. See you later, Gengar.
Okay, so the closest thing that Nintendo officially has to adults in like playing as an adult in the Pokemon world is probably be either the Ranger games or Pokemon Conquest.
Yeah, Pokemon Conquest.
Conquest is like you're an adult. Ranger is like you could be like 12 to 20. It doesn't really matter.
Isn't Pokemon Conquest the Fire Emblem-esque one?
No. Well, yes, but no. Yes, as in it's a grid-based tactical game, but no, as in it plays nothing like a Fire Emblem game.
Okay. Because it's the one where it's got like you've got essentially like a samurai with a freaking Chimchar.
It basically retells the story of the Three Kingdoms, but with Pokemon, and it's pretty cool.
Okay.
However, it desperately needs a report because like the game is like 90 hours long. But only because everything just is slow animation. Everything just, and there's no skipping it, and it's so long, but it's so cool. But it's just like, oh, I spend 5 hours on one battle. You know, it's one of those games.
Yeah,
but anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm excited personally for all three of them, because for Chikorita and for Tepig, they kind of get a bad rap for being ugly final forms.
By the way, I've never understood for Tepig. Tepig is like from like stage 1, 2, 3, almost perfect.
I do like him, and I can understand like the fatigue of we've had 3 firefighting types in a row.
That is a shame,
especially when
Emboar,
the previous one, is my favorite Pokemon ever. Emboar is gonna get the short end of the stick in that, right? At least for me, but I don't see anything wrong with them. But I'm excited for those two personally, because if they get new forms like the Hisuian starters did, that's great for them.
I think one of the coolest things they could do, which I think they should have done this all the way back with Score Bunny, because it would have made perfect sense. I want a fire electric type. Why is that so hard? I thought Score Bunny was for sure going to be fire electric because it's an energetic bunny. Why is it fire? Because it's passionate. Cool. Make it electric type too. You know.
Instead, all three of the stupid Galar starters are just pure
I like
Nice.
Grookey. If I had to choose one of the three, it would be Grookey because I like monkeys and I like grass types. I'm more favorably towards like the grass starters, but I agree all of them are kind of lame. I think the Grookey line is the best though, at least visually appealing.
I have to agree with that. I really don't like the other two.
No,
I-
Sobble was very confusing. I'm like, what am I looking at for like the middle form, and then the third form? I'm like, oh,
It's an emo
That doesn't make
salamander.
He becomes emo,
Yeah.
and then he becomes James Bond. So-
which
Yeah.
is like, it's like go Pokemon, cast gun at Pidgey,
Well,
and then it just shoots them. I'm like, oh, okay.
I gotta say too, I hate the Gigantamax mechanic. I just think most of them don't look that
It
great.
could have been so much cooler, but they just dumbed it down to the point where it was like whoever Gigantamax first wins, and it's just like the Z moves all over again. Whoever does the Z move first wins that bout, and it's lame.
Yeah,
I will say though, I'm a sucker for like cool new forms, the G Max forms.
there are some of the G-Max
a lot of
forms.
them were okay. Some of them were really bad. Kingler was really bad.
I love the Snorlax one.
Snorlax one was fun. I think Garbodor was probably the best one. Just
Garbodor
because it
was
made
up
me laugh.
there. Was it Alchemy that turned into the giant cake?
It turns into a wedding cake, which I'm like, that's cute.
What's up, Snake?
know.
Oh,
And then you
That's
have like,
amazingly cute.
and then you have like Machamp, where it just looks like Machamp but on fire.
Machamp, but he's angry.
Grimmelsnarl, who just turns into a bigger Grimmelsnarl already looks like a Power Ranger villain. It just looks like it's just a Megazord now instead of just like a normal Power Ranger villain. And I'm like, that's kind of lame.
And the thing is, it's like they had the thing where it's like you could make any of your Pokemon big, but then they only gave a select few new forms, and I was like,
Yeah,
that's lame.
And on top of that, the Pokemon that got the new forms didn't get any, like, there was no stats outside of the normal G-Maxing. The only added effect was, hey, this one move that you have can now create a sunny day or can create a tailwind. And it's just like, that's kind of lame. Why is there no like ultimate ability that's unique to that Pokemon?
Right.
You know, like in Pokemon Tournament, like when a Pokemon uses their super, it's like unique to them. Why was that not a thing for them? Right? It's just like, no, Shadow Ball, but it lowers your special attack also. And it's just like, that's lame. Like, what are we doing? I didn't like that. I also really didn't like Terrestrialization because it just gave your Pokemon a hat and it made them shiny and it just killed the bit rate and it killed the frames. And in the base game, it does dick all.
I would like to say I liked it because you could change out the types.
That was cool. It wasn't like this Pokemon's forever going to be electric type Terrestrialization.
I think the concept of it, like the actual gameplay aspect of it, was great. I
didn't like the look of it because your Pokemon got this really obnoxious, ugly hat. When it's just like, why can't it just be shiny but yellow for electric type or like purple?
They could have done so many things. Like have like electricity moving up and down its body if it's turned into an electric type, or
they
have
could have
plants
added
grow
like
on
just
its
like
back.
spectacle flare instead of just the same thing but for each type. I didn't like it. Mega, they peaked with Mega. I don't know why they did anything else. If I'm going to keep it real,
I have no
Mega
idea.
was like the thing that Mega was what every kid, including me, wanted, and they just stopped doing it.
I remember.
I know why. Because it's a balancing nightmare, but then you just don't allow megas, and that solves it. But whatever.
I remember being a kid. I never got the 3DS, so I never played X and Y, obviously, until I streamed it recently, like last year. But I remember being so excited. I'm like, they're definitely going to make a Mega Evolution for all the Sinnoh starters one day. It's going to be awesome. And then I remember like getting a little older and they're like, yeah, we're making the remakes for Gen 4. I'm like, oh, they're definitely going to have the Mega Evolutions now. And then the remakes come and not only do they suck, they don't have the Mega Evolutions, and I'm sad.
Okay, honest question. Do you think they suck or was it just unfun because there was nothing new?
I think
because if you were to go back as a kid and play Brilliant Diamond or Shining Pearl instead of Diamond and Pearl, do you think you would love it or hate it?
I mean, I probably think I'd enjoy it as a kid, but my thing is now there's a lot of things that I played as a kid. Like I tried to replay Pearl, which was my first ever Pokemon game, and with the stuff that without the stuff that Platinum added. I was like,
which that was done, by the way. I think it should have just been Diamond and Pearl, but with platinum added stuff. But it was just like more either Palkia or Dialga centric. That was dumb how they just didn't.
That's
implement platinum rules.
I think that's what most people's complaint is. It's like platinum did so many things phenomenally. Why did you revert all of that? Because it's just like, come on.
I'm gonna give the hottest take here. I do not like Gen 4. I like the entire roster. I like that entire generation. I don't like the games. Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, they're too long. The intro is so goddamn long and slow. The combat is kind of really slow as well. The animations take so long. There's so much HMs that you have to use. It's almost mandatory to have a Bidoof on your team to be a slave. Otherwise, you teach your Pokemon that you care about terrible moves outside of like cut or outside of like surf and strength. The lore that it introduced is really cool, but it's so long that I don't care. I would rather play any other Pokemon game than play Diamond, Pearl, or Platinum because it's just I know that I'm not going to have a lot of fun. The pacing I think is also pretty bad too. From like doing like champion stuff, like getting all the gems to toying with the Galactic or whatever. It's such like a roadblock. I don't like Gen 4 at all. I think the Pokemon roster is peak, but I didn't like it. I also like a lot of Pokemon that everyone hated from Gen 4 too. I think Rhyperior is one of the best added evolutions in the entire.
Rhyperior is awesome, but Gen 4 is also my favorite generation, so it's like we couldn't be on the further. I love Gen 5.
I think the best Pokemon game is Pokemon Black White 2. I don't think they've ever come close to being as good of a Pokemon game than that.
I like Black 2, White 2. Personally, I prefer the originals.
I like this. I like how it was a sequel to everything. It made you feel rewarded for playing the previous title, unlike Ultra Sun and Moon.
And that's true. My thing with it is I love the story of In so much in that one, and the rug pull at the end with, oh, hey, you're going to fight the champion, but it's like he's already been beaten. The champion
is story gets completed in 2, though.
Yeah, it does.
It gets its awesome conclusion, and you fight Getsus, and you gonna learn a lot of the actual like lore and origin of N and Getsus and Galactic as a whole, which I think was way cooler.
You definitely get a lot of that, but I mean, it might also be nostalgia talking as well, because definitely
Leon, racism wasn't inherently the whole point of Black and White. It was definitely a component, but not really. It was more about should we own these creatures as slaves rather than should we let them make their own decisions?
Racism isn't the right word, Ian. It's more like
ownership.
Because it's looking at it from the angle of,
because Galactic's whole purpose was like liberate your Pokemon, allow them to be free, and if they love you, they'll come back to you, which is like not how it works. And they're complete hypocrites because they battle you with Pokemon that are, the slaves that they themselves, preach. But
yeah.
But
okay, hold on. Razor Bolt, Ultra Sun and Moon are technically prequels because they continue stories that were established in the original Sun and Moon. It's like it's like you take the left branch route instead of taking the right branch, but it does advance plot points that were introduced in Sun and Moon. I never liked Sun and Moon though. So
doesn't it do the thing where it's just like, but what if this happened instead?
Well, yeah. So Ultra Sun and Moon takes an alternate branch. Like there's like a split off point. And it's pretty obvious when it is. It takes a split off point, and Ultra Sun and Moon just answers like the remaining questions.
Okay.
Which are like the more intriguing questions because Game Freak hates you and they want you to buy 2 games. There was very few things I liked about Sun and Moon though.
I've heard that looking back on it, I've heard people say just play the Ultra games instead of the regular. Which is why
you're definitely gonna, if you care about story, you're gonna be confused a little bit, but it's not by much.
I see my
Because okay, put it this way. If so Sun and Moon is if you just so Sun and Moon is if you just fight the bad organization and then you win the day, right?
right.
Ultra Sun and Moon is you get down to why they're doing it, how they're doing it, and what is the consequences of it.
And there's
But
certain
you don't,
story
but you
things
don't,
that
but you,
change, right?
but you don't engage with the evil organization at all, pretty much.
Like they went what's the chick's name? Lusamine. They're like, because
Yeah.
doesn't she try and kill her children in regular Sun and Moon? And they're like, okay, maybe we shouldn't have a villain that tries to murder her own children.
And then in Ultra
Pokemon
Sun and
game.
Moon, she's barely in the game. So
Yeah. And it's they try and frame her more as like, oh well, no, she's actually got a noble goal. She's just doing it the wrong way. No,
I don't.
She definitely didn't try and kill her children.
Yeah. Well, I don't really remember. I only played them once. I'm pretty sure they're both canon. Again, Ultra Sun and Moon just tells like the other side of the story. It just tells you side B.
I'm interested. I have plans to play them. Like I have all my stuff set up.
No,
to play
Sun and
them,
Moon. Out of all generations, I like that generation the least. I think that there's not enough Pokemon that evolve. I think there's just a lot of like just ugly standalone characters, standalone Pokemon in Sun and Moon that don't lead anywhere. The biggest sin is Minior. Do you know of Minior?
Yes, I do.
There was no reason why it couldn't have been a baby Pokemon to Lunatone and Solrock.
Right.
Why not?
Or
because no one's gonna touch it on its own. It's a gimmick Pokemon, first of all, and it's a single evolution. It doesn't go into anything. Its stats are mediocre. Make it a little bit weaker. Make it a baby Pokemon, and then have it evolve into the other two like planetary rock Pokemon. There's no reason why they didn't do it, and they didn't do it, and so it's just a lot of things like that where it's like, why doesn't this Pokemon fit in elsewhere?
Okay. Yeah, I mean I'm excited to play him just because I haven't played him before.
Oh yeah, I mean yeah, and I'll watch and I'll complain along with you. Don't worry as you progress the games. But anyway, sorry. Back to ZA real quick. I'll let you finish your whatever you were gonna say. And then there's one thing that no one is talking about ZA that I need to talk about.
What I was gonna say is I have to credit Moon specifically for putting out what might be my favorite legendary Pokemon, at least close
Lunala
to it.
is really cool.
Lunala is awesome.
Yeah.
I love Lunala's design.
Yes, the three legendaries, not all the legendaries. 'Cause I don't like them all. Just the three main ones, I do like a lot.
I don't like what is it, Solgaleo as much. Necrozma's fine.
Yeah.
But
I like Solgaleo, especially when you learn of like the origins behind its design, which I take into an account of how I like a Pokemon a lot, especially with legendaries. I like it a lot. It's really cool.
That's fair. Well, and I also I don't like Solgaleo shiny.
I don't look at shinies because I'm never gonna get them because I don't have the patience of a saint to spend 8 hours hunting for one. So I never really take shinies into account.
That's
personally.
I mean because when I don't know if you've seen Lunala's shiny, the Blood Moon.
It's red. What is
awesome? I think it is probably my favorite shiny Pokemon. It has some
next
content.
Black Rayquaza. Oh yeah. Solgaleo's is ugly. He looks like a tomato.
Yeah, he's just bright red. He's sunburnt.
It's not as bad as the raw bacon Yveltal, but like, which I think is the worst shiny because he just looks like a slab of raw bacon. But
that might be. I don't think he's the worst shiny ever, but I do think he's probably the worst shiny legendary. I can't think of any other really bad shiny legendaries.
You know what I think they were going for? Maybe they were going for a sun-dried tomato.
They were trying
because it's yellow and red like a tomato and needs the sun. So
I actually know exactly what they were trying to do because I've seen what the design philosophy was. They were trying to mimic the red stars, like the super giants that get that dark red. But the problem is when they just made it one flat color of red, that kind of.
There's no differentiating. That's bad.
If they had made like swirling throughout with like orange and everything, that would have been an awesome shiny. But just a flat red doesn't look great.
Yeah, I do like his core design though, because he's based off of the Alchemic Lion, which I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't hate him. I'm just like, I like Lunala so much that I'm just like.
I agree. I played Sun and Ultra Sun. I'm like, give me the bat, and also the Necrozma variant. Lunala also just kicks ass too.
Yeah, that one's great. For overall legendary, she's definitely got to compete with the 2 dragons from Gen 5. Really, I'd say the 3 dragons. I like all 3, and and then I like Palkia and Dialga and Giratina. The legendaries from Gen 4 and Gen 5 were peak.
Yeah, I'm almost always going to be on the side of Dinosaur, just because I think dinosaurs are just way cooler, which is why I'm a Dialga stan. He's just a cool looking dinosaur. And then I always like more animal stuff, more monster-esque designs. And Solgaleo is just a lion, which I'm like, okay, but like, it's just like we have Arcanine at home, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is just another fire lion for the most part, or like Pyroar, which came out also. And like, we don't really have a lot of bat Pokemon. We have Zubat and Swoobat. That's like about it.
There's Zubat, Swoobat.
You have the Ibat one. You have the Ibat one.
No, Gliscor is based off of a scorpion, though, not a bat.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's just a scorpion that has wings.
Noivern, the dragon bat from Gen 6.
I would say it's based off of a wyvern, not a bat, but okay.
I think that one's based off of a bat, though.
Wyvern. It's based off of a dragon.
Well, yeah, it's got the vert, but it's actually based off of a bat, a real life bat.
I mean, I would say, without looking into it, I would say that's a bit of a stretch, but okay. There's a lot more.
What about Woobat?
Yeah, Woobat evolves into Swoobat.
Yeah, which creative, I know, but like, there's just a lot more like animal Pokemon than there is like bats, which I like. I think bats are cool, but anyway, that's why I like it too. It's also a little bit more edgier, but whatever. Sorry. No, Legends ZA. Before we like move on or get sidetracked again. So your biggest complaint about ZA is that it's condensed to like the city, right? And then Game Freak and Nintendo has like confirmed like you're not going outside of the city. That's one of your biggest complaints, correct?
Yeah, I wish they'd adapted more of the region.
Okay. So at first I agree with you, and then there's a YouTuber by the name of Lockskin and Noggin, which I watch semi frequently, and they made a video that explained my thoughts perfectly. Do you know of the Yakuza series?
Yes.
Okay. So there's like 7 games in the series, right?
Yeah, there's
6 of those games. No, there's 8. Sorry, there's 8 Yakuza labeled games in the franchise. 6 of those games take place in the exact same map, the exact same district.
Yeah. Well,
but what they do, because the overall game map isn't big, they just cram a lot of they're able to cram a lot of stuff into it. I have Copium that, because of like the buildings and the wild zones and stuff, which they've already confirmed that Pokemon appear outside of the wild zones. Wild zones are just little like condensed pockets that just have Pokemon in them. But like there's like Pokemon on like the rooftops and in the street as well. To what extent we don't know, but I think that they're gonna do basically what they did with like Detective Pikachu, and because there's going to be a lot less open field, there's going to be a lot more room for minute detail. That's going to be really helpful to like improve, if nothing else, the draw distance.
I can
Can we have an
hope.
underground fighting pit?
I see. I want to have faith, but I think that Game Freak, they haven't given me a reason to have faith. Like
My only faith is that this is the sequel to Arceus, not the sequel to Scarlet Violet.
yeah, like I hope they actually do us right and
Yeah.
make an innovative and a good game. But I'm just like I've
I
got
will
that
say,
skepticism.
even if the game kind of runs poorly, which I will be the first to be like, I think that would kind of be it for me if the game doesn't at least run at a consistent 30 on the Switch. The open combat is something I've been wanting since I was a kid. For
See,
Pokemon,
yeah,
though.
and that's what
And
looks
not the
interesting
really
to me.
bad, not the really bad Wii U chibi Pokemon game. That was terrible. But like actual like open combat,
Yeah.
which we're getting there. Which I'm like, okay, I'm sold. I'm gonna get the game, but if it doesn't perform, I don't think I'm gonna care about Pokemon again, and that sucks. I'm just gonna be focusing on like fan made ROM hacks and content stuff like that.
That's my problem. When Pal World came out and showed people what could be done with this genre, it really shines a light on just how lazy the development of the Pokemon games have been for so long. I'd say the last Pokemon game, mainline, I'm not going to go off onto the, Pokemon Explorers of Sky or any of the mystery dungeons, stuff like that. I'm talking
Good games.
We'll count the Legends games and stuff like that, but the last game that really had that kind of care put into it was Black 2, White 2.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Ever since then, they've gotten focused
3D
on
animations. Every Pokemon had like an animation that popped. Enemy trainers, when it was like little Timmy wants to battle, they had a little animation that was unique to their sprite. The music had perfect flow. The combat had perfect speed. The game actually was difficult, which is just like unheard of this day and age. Black and White and Black 2, White 2, late game, you better knew what you were doing. You couldn't just spam Fire Blast and win. You would get rolled.
Right.
That's what I loved. Getsis up there with Cynthia in terms of hardness, but it's Getsis after an Elite Four of relatively hard Pokemon, after a champion of relatively hard Pokemon. I think Iris is, or Drayden, depending on what game you play, is one of the hardest champions next to Cynthia. I think Getsis is one of the hardest fights in the franchise.
You mean
as
gym leaders?
Cynthia's not a gym leader.
Iris and Drayden were the 8th gym leader in Black. I know Iris is the champion in Black 2, White 2, but she's the only champion. Drayden doesn't become the champion.
Okay. I only played the Zekrom games, so I have had Iris. I assumed if in the other games it was Drayden instead.
No, he stays as the 7th gym leader, whichever game you play.
Okay, my bad. But I think Iris is up there with Cynthia, and I think Getsis is like at the very least the hardest crime syndicate boss.
Oh ever. Yeah. Well, I just love. I think Getsis is the most entertaining.
Other than having a name that no child can pronounce because it's Getsis. Yeah. I think his philosophy is cool because Giovanni just wants money. Archie and Maxie are just dumb.
They're morons.
They don't know how things
Cyrus
work.
is the ultimate introvert.
Cyrus is cool, but once you look past his original plan, it kind of falls apart. Why does he want to do what he does? Because he wants to do it?
He just wants to be left alone. I can sympathize.
Lysander wants fashion, which is
Lysander was the dumbest villain. Hands down.
Dumbest hair, dumbest everything. Ian, no, I'm not. But I'll explain why at the end, okay? I'm not streaming today, but I'll explain why later on, okay? I promise.
But yeah, and then Getsis comes in. he puts up this veil of
first it's N. It's not because first it's led up to believe that it's N. That's like the lead. Well, because he straight up says, "I'm the leader of Galactic," or "I'm the leader of Plasma." Sorry, and it's like, oh shit. And like we also like at the beginning, before you even boot the game up, it shows a little snippet of like N being like a kid and being royalty, and you're
crowned.
Like, whoa, and you're like, what the hell? And if you read the manga, which I did alongside of the games, N can like legitimately like talk to Pokemon, like Dr. Doolittle.
Yep,
like, you can talk to them, and so it makes sense why he wants this. The whole organization philosophy is just like make your Pokemon like not slaves, and it's just like, oh, that's really cool. And then Ghetsis comes in, and he's just like you're a failure. You're not a puppet. You now die. And it's just like, whoa, because Ghetsis wants like to kill N, and it's like crazy. And it's still up in the air, in my opinion, that Ghetsis is like N's biological son because they have the same haircut, but there's also like snippets of lore that says that he might be just like a surrogate. I don't really know. It doesn't really matter, but it's so cool. It's so cool. And then the next game is like they're just street thugs.
In my opinion, Ghetsis in the first game has the most unique theme across the entirety of Pokemon.
Oh, the music is so crazy.
The drums and then the chorus, the choir coming in. Like that sounds like something that should be in Dark Souls, not Pokemon.
Yes.
And
yes.
I love it.
It's like you're gonna fucking die if you don't treat this seriously. Ghetsis will kill you.
Just a quick aside. I did find the bat that the Noi bat line is based off of. It's called the leaf or nose leaf bat. And it's got the big open ears, and I love this guy. I love his little grin. This thing's adorable.
All right, I'll take a look. Okay, I get it. The snout kind of sells it.
Yeah. But anyways.
He's cute it's cute like how a pug is cute.
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah.
But yeah, that being said, that's why I'm so skeptical about ZA. It's just like I want to trust that a Pokemon game will be
hurt
good.
Flare. If Flare is a thing, they can't make Flare worse.
They can't make it worse. No, definitely not. But I want the best for it. I want it to be good. I'm not preying on its downfall. I just don't know if I can trust them. I'm not going to start shouting from the rooftops that it's going to suck before it even comes out, but I'm also going to hold the opinion of like, hey, maybe don't pre-order it. Let it come out. Let people start getting their opinions out there. Let's see some gameplay footage. Then you can start like... That's the stage I'm sitting in. There are people who are going to pre-order it, and if they want to do that, that's fine. But that's just mine. Like, I want to see what people say about it before I would consider
before
purchasing.
You hop on the train. Because you would also need to get a Switch.
Yes, I would. Or a Switch 2, which I think is what that
we'll see.
Is what's intended to
for
come
Switch
out
2. I need 60 frames, no questions asked. That if they can't reach that, then I'm not getting it.
I don't understand how you have games like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom and freaking Xenoblade Chronicles coming out on the Switch and running mostly fine, and Pokemon runs like a PowerPoint. I don't understand it.
Okay, specifically Scarlet Violet. Every other Pokemon game ran well. Violet didn't. Violet ran at like 5 frames at times, and it was inexcusable.
Like, even with Legends Arceus, though, that didn't run poorly, but it had like, the trees would pop in, and if you saw a bird in the distance, they were just like... they gotta put more effort. Like, you can see the effort with Zelda and with Xenoblade, and those like Pokemon should have that same kind of effort put into it. I know visuals aren't the biggest thing.
I'm not saying no. I don't think pop-in is necessary. I don't scrutinize pop-in as much as I would say like clipping on a character model in a cutscene, right? I think clipping is inexcusable. Pop-in, I don't think is necessarily too bad. It will, at least I never really noticed, unless it was like you're talking about like the Pokemon themselves. I never thought it was that bad in ZA or in Legends Arceus to begin with, unless you're walking down and like a Alpha Steelix spawns in front of you and you're like, oh god. But outside from that, I don't think it was like that bad. But I agree. I'm really hoping that ZA, especially considering they have like buildings and stuff, like stuff to block the background, that pop-in isn't going to be nearly as bad.
I hope
or
so.
bad at all.
And I hope it looks good. Like, can we get a good-looking Pokemon game? Because once again, I don't think a Pokemon game has looked spectacular since Gen 5.
Yeah. I agree with that statement. I think I will. Just 3D models just took away so much life out of the Pokemon. It was insane.
And it, like, they started to fix it a little bit in Scarlet and Violet, where they, like, actually give Charizard scales and stuff like that. But, you know, I just think there's so much more life that could be given to these models.
It is sad, though, because it's not like the Switch 2 is going to be, like, the magic button that's going to fix them. Because people have created, like, PC ROMs of Scarlet Violet. The game is just terribly running, and it's just cooked in. Well, it's not optimized. It's cooked into the game. There's no optimization that can make it better. It's just that's the game. Like when you like the classroom at the beginning of the game, where the game runs at like 5 frames, that can't be fixed. That's just in the game. They would have to like severely like remake and patch the game.
That's the exact thing.
They didn't do.
The original development was not set up well. Like the game just isn't.
No. Which is why Scarlet Violet is inexcusable. But like the pop in Legends and in Sword and Shield, I think is a little more like nitpicky rather than like flat out performance issues.
My thing with it was personally. It looks like. I think the game could be so much more visually striking when you have these worlds, and it was a bunch of flat textures, and you know I just felt it could have looked better, but
100%.
I lost my train of thought. What was I gonna say? Wow, I just got lobotomized. That's pretty funny.
I love it when that happens.
Sneaky lobotomy. Who stealth lobotomied me?
It was me all along.
I agree. Recent Pokemon has had very high highs, but like the most abyssal lows it could possibly have. And I think a large part of it is we don't have a lot of side games. The last side Pokemon game outside of Unite, which is probably where most of Pokemon funding is going to these days. I got hiccups out of nowhere, sorry. Was Pokemon Snap for the Switch. But we don't have there's no new Pokemon Ranger, there's no new. They're making Pokemon Stadium 4 now, but like Pokemon Stadium was like a dead thing. They don't make another Pokemon Coliseum for whatever reason.
I think they should start focusing more on the side stuff in between the main games.
Yeah, like Pokemon Conquest Remake.
Conquest, they had so.
That is a game that
we get another mystery dungeon game. I want a Pokemon mystery dungeon game. Why have I not streamed mystery dungeon on my channel?
I like Mystery Dungeon a lot. Mystery Dungeon hasn't been good since Explorers of Sky.
That's the kind I'm talking about. That's the only one I ever played.
Super Mystery Dungeon, the triads of whatever, the one that came after, and then the remake of the original ones, they were all not great.
I'm gonna be real. I didn't even realize those released.
That's how bad they were.
I played Explorers. I think it was Explorers of Sky. I don't think it was one of the Explorers of Darkness or Time. I think
Sky is like the platinum version of the other two.
Yeah,
so Sky is the one you want to play. It just has more content in it.
I played through that one as a kid, and I was like, you know, this isn't the normal Pokemon battle thing, but I loved it. I was obsessed with it.
I loved it too.
There's
everyone that came out afterward either looks ugly because they moved to 3D sprites, or it was just made for kids and it was too easy. And like the progression was like, let's do this now, let's do this now, let's do this, instead of just like figure it out. We're not gonna tell you.
there is a reason to this day that I have a fondness for both Groivile and Duskanor, or Dusknoir.
Oh yeah.
Rather. I like anybody who has never touched that series of games, those three, who didn't see those two characters play pivotal roles. And like Chatot and Wigglytuff, who I'm not as fond of them, but definitely like Corvile is probably my favorite middle evolution for any of the starters, just because of Mystery Dungeon.
I get that. Mine's Pignite, unironically. I think Pignite's
Pokemon
really cool.
Mystery Dungeon D&D homebrew.
I remember back in the day reading like how someone would do like a Pokemon D&D thing.
Eli, I know what our next campaign is.
I have no shit. I have actually thought about trying to set that up.
Okay, you know, the last time I was on, I mentioned that I briefly did DMing, but I didn't know what I was doing, so we stopped. I made an entire Pokedex basically because it was called Unlikely Companions, and the entire premise was everyone got at the very beginning of their story, like unplanned, a random monster companion that was like linked to them. And I made like an entire encyclopedia. Like if you rolled like you would roll like 3 sets of dice, and that would determine your monster. And this would be after you made your character, so there would be no like min-maxing shenanigans with it. I loved the idea, and I loved the world. I just didn't have like the chops to DM it. But like I think that companion like having like if like everyone were like a ranger and had like a pet monster that could like grow and like evolve and that you can customize along with their character in a D&D setting, I think that would be legitimately really cool. There would just be a lot of downtime.
I will say a little bit of a tangent. DMing is what's the best way to describe it? You gotta learn how to be good at improv, pretty much, to DM.
Yeah, and I was like 12, so
oh, that's fair.
I would probably have a much better chance doing it now, but back then, oh hell no.
Yeah, so, that's definitely.
If you want to hear my idea on how you do a Pokemon D&D campaign, is actually a lot easier than it would basically be like, okay, Pokemon are region based, right? I'm not a crazy guy for saying that.
Yeah, that's correct.
So you just have to keep track of what area you're in, you know? Because like if you go to a desert area, you're going to find Pokemon that would appear in a desert. So you would just pull up the list of Pokemon that appear in deserts, and you just roll on there, and then you just have it set up so it's like, okay, you only have a team of 6.
Okay, but question, would each player be able to get 6 Pokemon? And if so, then how would you do combat? Would it be like a 6v1? Or like a 12v2? Like how
you
would
have...
like...
The combat would be the only interesting part that I would have to like break down the like it'd be like, okay, combat would not be the same as D&D 5e, where it's like, okay, it's everybody against big bad guy.
You would probably do a lot more like tournament style, you know, everybody's getting their own combat.
No, like raid boss where it's like 30 dudes versus one giant like terrorist or something.
Although you could do they have the raid dens and in the newer games.
You know, like your entire party versus a Mewtwo, and the Mewtwo's like you would need like 8 Pokemon, otherwise you wouldn't scratch it.
Yeah, that would be one of those like, okay, this is where you're bringing in your Pokemon, and then you just basically you wouldn't have a level as a character. You would have your Pokemon's level. So
I've it's in one of my sketchbooks. I would have to find it, but like I have like an almanac. No, that's not the word. Like a very rough frame comic style of like how it would go animation wise of like my dream team fighting Regigigas. Because I always like the idea that Regigigas is like this colossal sized Pokemon, even though he's never depicted as such, which infuriates me because his lore is like, it would make sense if he would be like this 300-foot tall creature instead of like the size of like your dad on a Saturday afternoon.
My favorite depiction of Regigigas is from the Giratina movie.
Where he's just like hanging out and he's like,
He pulls
okay,
the freaking iceberg. Yeah, he stops the iceberg. It's like
But
that.
I don't like how small he is. That's my problem. Regigigas needs to be like colossal. Because in his lore, he pulled the continents together with like a giant chain. How the fuck can he do that if he is like the size of like a rather tall human?
He's 12
he
foot
needs
two.
to be. He needs. He's 12 foot 2.
12 foot
okay,
2,
well he's never.
He's pounds.
Never. It's still way too small.
He's like
he needs to be like larger
Hulk.
than Whale Lord. Okay, well when you put it in that perspective, it sounds silly, but I like the idea that he's like this Titan.
I'm just disappointed that he sucks.
I know.
He's one of my favorite
so
looking
bad.
legendaries, and he's
He is
awful
my
'cause of
favorite
slow start.
legendary. What other like also is there any other legend? This is a genuine question. Is there any other normal type legendary? Mono normal?
Yes, Arceus.
I was about to say Arceus,
Okay,
and I
fair
don't
enough.
even know Pokemon that much.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, he's almost never used as normal type, and you can only get him legitimately in one game. But fair enough. Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Although I guess if you want to get finicky, Arceus is technically a mythical, not a legendary. So
Yes,
Silvally
because-
would be the
Because Legends Arceus is the only game where you can legitimately get him.
right.
You can't. He's only a special event in the games and where he's introduced, which is
I think you can get him legit in BDSP too. I
Brilliant
think
Diamond.
they opened
Oh,
up the
okay.
ability to
I
do
think
that.
okay, that would make sense. Okay,
Silvally is
because he's also the only other Pokemon that can't be obtained in Oras either.
right.
You can get most other legendaries and mythicals in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. Arceus is not. And before you answer that question, Silvally is not a legendary.
He's considered sub-legendary in the same category as Regigigas, Cresselia, Kabali.
He's a pseudo. He's not a. But he's up there with like Dragonite. They're like pseudo legendaries. He's not a legendary though.
No, he's considered a legendary, dude. He's got like I'm looking at the
I-
page of sub-legendaries.
I
He's
don't
got
know if I agree with that because he's. First of all, he evolves or something evolves into him, which is
It's
grounds for disqualification.
type null is. It's like he's got armor on, and then when you remove the armor, he becomes Silvally.
So the lore is type null was like Porygon. He's a man-made Pokemon.
Yeah.
That's type null. He was made in the image of Arceus, but with the bond of friendship or whatever, which is how you evolve type null, he then forms into his own false idol Pokemon, which that's what he's based off of. He's based off of like a Chimera.
Okay.
Because Arceus is like a myth, right? No one really knows if Arceus is real. So he's made in the image of what he's depicted as. Which is why actually type null looks a little bit more like Arceus than Silvally does, because Silvally is when the belief becomes flesh, basically.
That's true.
Which is really
Razor.
cool. Which is
Solgaleo
really
and
cool.
Lunala are a 3-stage evolution. From Cosmog to Cosmo
Lore,
to whichever.
okay. In lore only, okay? Fine. Fine. You got me there.
But you want to know what's funny? Most legendaries that you can name are considered sub-legendary.
Which is
There's a
dumb.
very
Well, I mean,
short
okay,
list of
if I'm being
legendary
honest,
Pokemon.
Pokemon's rules in lore with legendaries is always just whatever they want it to be.
Oh, and some of their naming
Because in
conventions
the
are
movies,
absolutely
there's
moronic.
because in the movies there's Lugia and then you have Baby Lugia. That's not what I always brought up with legendaries being, because in my mind, mythicals and with legendaries, there's only one. They are the embodiment of that one thing, and as far as I'm concerned, they're like immortal. Like time cannot do anything to them.
Right.
That, to me, like, because like Dialga, like, does that mean that there's more than one Palkia Dialga? No, there's only one. They are the embodiment of what they represent, which is why Solgaleo and Lunara I don't love how they evolve, because it doesn't make sense. Because is it like a jellyfish, or like once they die they convert back to like the little fart cloud? Okay, maybe that makes sense, sure. But then there's mythicals like Shaman and Jirachi, where they're so rare, but they're not legendary. They're not the embodiment of something. They just are just a very like rare species, which is cool. Which for like categorization wise, being like they're like only through like special events you're able to capture them, would make sense why Arceus is considered a mythical, even though, let's be honest, Arceus is like, he's the legendary Pokemon, right?
Right. Well, what about Arcanine?
Arcanine was, so that was scrapped content. I don't know if you actually know that. I'm sure you do, but
yeah,
Arcanine
I'm
was
just
supposed to be Entei, but they shimmied that to the next generation.
You know how all the Pokemon have their like, this is Chimchar, the fire monkey Pokemon.
Yeah, the legendary Pokemon.
Arcanine is, it's like he's the true legendary.
Yeah, Arcanine was supposed to be, so Growlithe and Arcanine were supposed to be Entei, because the three legendary dogs were supposed to be not evolutions, even though that's like the core theory now, is that they're like a Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Flareon that died and got revived and got like
Spencer,
megged.
check your Discord real quick.
That got megged, basically. But it was supposed to be Growlithe, Arcanine, and then a water and a thunder type dog that would go into like their own giant pupper. But they boxed that and they just made the legendary dogs, basically. Which, okay, cool. But yeah, some of that did bleed over. Why? Because whatever. Early Pokemon didn't really care about consistency, because there was nothing to be consistent about.
What did you just send me, Eli?
But sorry, going back, the reason I don't love legendaries is because so in your mind, the three Reggies, not Reggie Rock, Ice, and Steel. There's a lot of Poketubers that I've watched that I vehemently disagree with them because of this, is that there are multiple of these golems just scattered around, and that's why in every game you can capture them all, even though that's not how that logic really works. In my opinion, there's only the three, and then every game is like an alternate reality where they just exist in that biome.
Didn't they already kind of establish that every game's an alternate reality with the whole shenanigans in Sun and Moon?
Yes, but that doesn't stop people from saying, like,
oh my gosh,
this is this, or it's like, this is, or I love it when people like, and then it's a Lugia, and it's like, no, bitch, that's the Lugia. There's only one. I don't know. They never really.
This is phenomenal.
True legendaries are really just box arts. I disagree. I don't like that. So, I mean, yes, they are, but like, there's also like the side legendaries.
Not to interrupt you, but Eli just sent me a PDF for Pokemon 5th edition that's Pokemon adapted into D&D 5e.
Yeah, that's
like,
probably
I'm
what I
looking at
read.
stat blocks for Pokemon right now. This is phenomenal.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I definitely knew it was out there.
Oh, it even has like the moves that it can learn.
Oh, they only go up to Gen 2 though. That's
yes,
lame.
it is only Gen 1 and 2.
There's over 1,000 of them. You'd have to make your entire like a new bestiary.
I don't need all 1,000 of them. I just want up to 5th generation. That's all I care about.
Well, Razor, that's also not true, because there's like Kyurem is not a box art legendary, but he's definitely a legendary.
See, this is where I was saying,
is not
like,
a box art legendary, but he's definitely a legendary. Regigigas is definitely a legendary.
I think Game Freak's naming conventions are stupid, because there's a lot of, like, for example, they're not starter Pokemon. They're first partner Pokemon. Shut up! They're starter Pokemon. Shut up, Game Freak.
Game Freak is They say that? I've
Yes.
never heard of that.
Yes. So those Pokemon did not have an official name until like Gen 8. And then they were like, these are your
What?
first partner Pokemon. And everybody was like, no, they're starters.
Oh,
We've
no.
called them
Yeah, no.
starter Pokemon for probably 20 years at this point. You're not just going to randomly change the name. Shut up, Game Freak.
Yeah,
And they do
I don't
the
like that.
same thing with they're like, these are sub-legendaries. Like, that's Game Freak's terminology. By Game Freak's definition, Regigigas is a sub-legendary. If they're not legendaries that are involved in the main story, they're sub-legendaries.
Okay. First of all, that's dumb.
It is dumb.
But for example, I do think that it is kind of silly to what is like a, let me just think for a second. That I do think it's silly, for example, the 3 legendary birds, right? Moltres, Zapdos, and Articuno. I do think it is silly to have them on the exact same pedestal as the controllers of time and space.
Yeah.
I think that I think if they mean like sub-legendaries as in like in like the order of the pantheon, they're like lesser gods. Okay. But that's not what they're describing though.
Yeah,
I think in labeling them as like they're not Zeus, but like they're like Dionysus, which is just like a guy that just has godly powers. And then below them you have like demigods, which could be like the mythicals. Like I do believe in like a hierarchy in like the pantheon, because that needs to happen. Not every Pokemon, like for example, Koraidon and Miraidon, they're not like the embodiment of something. They're just really strong Pokemon that are just from their own specific time, you know?
Yeah, that's
or like the Sword and Shield dogs. They're not like, they're like whatever, the embodiment of pride and valor, but like that doesn't mean anything, right? They're just strong Pokemon.
Well, they also look stupid, but you know, that's my own opinion.
Well, one is just Sif and the other one is just a Pomeranian.
It's a dog with a big shield around its neck. Like, really cool Game Freak. Real creative.
If you want to get technical, it's Kyurem in the box of Black White and Necrozma. No, it is not Kyurem.
It's
that
Black
is a fusion.
Kyurem and White Kyurem.
Which, yes, that's what the game calls them, but that it's not a perfect fusion. It's just Zekrom with a little bit of Kyurem into it, or it's Reshiram with a little bit of Kyurem into it. And same thing with Necrozma Sun and Moon. It's just Lunala or Sergalia with a little bit of Necrozma onto them. It's not like a 50-50. Which I really like those swarms, but I wouldn't ever say like that's Necrozma. I would say like Kyurem as like the ice dragon is Kyurem, and then the other ones are just like, oh, that's Zekrom with like a little extra flavor. Or like, because to me, Necrozma, true Necrozma is like the golden dragon of light, which that's what Necrozma is.
Ultra Necrozma.
Which Necrozma is the embodiment of light, or the embodiment of Prism that can trap light. Blah 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 blah. You know, which I think is actually really clever because it's light and darkness at the same time, because it's a prism and it can reflect light, which I think is really cool. But whatever, I digress. But despite what the game calls them, I don't know if I would necessarily call them. I wouldn't say it's a box art of Kyurem on Black and White, though.
I think it's easier to just call them whatever you want to call them, rather than like people get too into it over those kind of things. That's just like
because only because at that point it's pedantic and it's nitpicky,
and nobody can agree. Like, is it Arceus or Arceus? I say Arceus because I think it sounds better, but there are people who think it's Arceus.
Exactly. Do you
Does
know
it matter? You know who I'm talking about.
The green dragon noodle. How do you pronounce its name?
Which one?
Green dragon noodle.
Gyarados?
Green dragon noodle. From
Rayquaza?
Emerald.
Oh.
Rayquaza, right?
Rayquaza.
Rayquaza or Rayquaza?
Rayquaza.
See, no, for me it's Rayquaza.
I say Rayquaza because it's like Quasar.
I just sent you a link.
Because it's what?
His name is
Sorry.
based off the term quasar.
I just sent you the link to the other. This is a site that has 809 Pokemon
Okay.
Oh, mama.
as D&D monsters.
That's cool. But anyway, in the dub, they also say Arceus and Arceus, and in the dub, like in the movies or the games, they, sorry, in the movie or the show, they both say Rayquaza, and they both say Arceus and Arceus.
Yeah, exactly. Like it doesn't matter. Like we know what we're talking about. There's no need to argue over which name is correct.
Another one is Totodile's evolution. How do you call that? What do you call that one? Direct evolution.
Totodile, Croconaw?
Croconaw? I just call him Croconaw.
Is that not? Are we not saying the same thing?
You're saying Croconaw. I'm saying Croconaw.
Oh, okay.
Just
Croconaw,
because one, it just rolls off of the tongue a little bit easier. Like small stuff like that. I'm not like Decidueye is Decadui. Like I don't like deliberately mispronounce something.
There are certain ones that I do love to do like that. Oh, yeah. It's Decky Dewey. There are some stupid ones that I love to do.
We have been rolling for 90 minutes, to let y'all know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we should probably scooch on to the second topic.
I was going to say we're going to touch on Night Rain.
I need to convince you that you're gonna like Night Rain because you're convinced that you're not for no reason.
I need to wait and see. It's the thing where like I'm gonna let it come out. I'm gonna let gameplay footage come out. I'm gonna let all that happen, and then I'll make a judgment on whether I want to get it or not. I'm not gonna like pre-order it. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna do anything like that.
If the entire game can be played solo offline, would you consider it?
I would consider
it. What do you need? Like, what is a prerequisite for you to get the game?
So if I can look at it and say, yes, I could enjoy this playing with randoms online, I would consider getting it. But if it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I probably wouldn't enjoy this as much unless I'm like in comms with people playing it, I'm probably not going to look at it. Or if I can play it solo. And it isn't like I'm having to play with stupid AI that's not going to function. It's just one of those things. It's the same reason like everybody's gushing about Monster Hunter and everybody was ready to lose it over Monster Hunter, but I was like, I'm going to wait. I'm going to hold off. I hear a lot of great things about it. I also hear a lot of issues with performance, and I'm like, if I get Monster Hunter, I'm going to wait until I see the performance issues have been fixed.
As someone. So first of all, for the Monster Hunter thing, let me just say this here: I don't stream it, I don't record it, I play it. It is a game that you fundamentally need frame gem to play. It is like cooked into the game where like it will run poorly if you do not have frame gem on. There are mods out right now and still tinkering and developing it that basically erase that. If you are comfortable playing with any kind of mods attached to your Steam game, right now you can get Wilds and you can get, it's called RE modifier, I think, because it's the RE engine, where it completely negates like frame gen and it just makes a lot of stuff easier. I currently don't use it, but I have just seen a video like an hour ago of someone using it with a side-by-side comparison, and it is like, do you want to play at a fluctuating 40 to 60 or a fluctuating 100 and 120 with frame gen? So let me just say that. So like, it sucks how we need to rely on a mod to fix it. What Capcom is also pretty good at fixing their own stuff in due time to fix it properly, so it will get fixed eventually.
Oh yeah.
But Night Rain, though, as we're going back, sorry, I didn't mean to go on a tangent, but Night Rain, I have full confidence that they will not make a forced online PvPvE interaction. I think they will I think they will definitely have single player aspects of it because none of their games have forced you to do any kind of multiplayer.
Right.
Like not even Armored Core. And like some of the old Armored Core games had a massive multiplayer aspect to it. It has never been mandatory. So I don't know. I don't have any thoughts that they would ever force it now, especially when it's Elden Ring.
Right.
But if you do get it and you need to rely on people, I'm gonna get it too, so you can rely on me.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna.
So you're gonna win.
I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna let. This is my typical thing. There's only one game I've ever. Okay, that's a lie. There's two. There's two that I've ever pre-ordered. I pre-ordered Kingdom Hearts 3 because I loved the Kingdom Hearts series and I was incredibly excited for it. And I pre-ordered.
How disappointed were you?
I never played it.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds like everyone else who we were excited for fucking Kingdom Hearts 3.
I got so excited for it that I saw these things. It's like, yeah, you're not going to understand anything unless you play all the other games, like Birth by Sleep. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I got to play Birth by Sleep. I got like halfway through Birth by Sleep and never finished it. And I'm like,
the last game I pre-ordered, was Dragon's Dogma 2. But I knew that I would have gotten that game anyway day one, so I might as well have pre-ordered it.
The only other game I've ever pre-ordered was Elden Ring,
which is also fair because the hype for Elden Ring was like very hard to like. It's so hard to like get hype for a game like that again. You know,
it's one of those things where it's like I had the utmost confidence that the game was going to be phenomenal because it's FromSoft. I still think Night Rain's probably going to be phenomenal, but I want to hold off, see what it's like, and see if it's for me, more particularly.
Do you care for, like, pre-ordering bonuses?
No. I actually hate pre-order bonuses. I hate when it's
I don't love them either.
Here's this special item you get by giving us money before you know the quality of the game, especially
so in terms of, like, in terms of like Dragon's Dogma, I don't mind because it's just like instead of your simple sword, you get the same exact sword with the same exact stats, but it's gold now and shiny. I don't mind that. I do hate it when it's just like if you pay us money, you can just play the game early.
The worst pre-order bonus I have ever seen is from the Demon Souls remake, where they give you a set of armor and a weapon.
Yeah.
That is better than anything you can receive at that point in the game. That is fundamentally breaking the idea of Dark Souls.
If I remember that, you can't upgrade the weapon.
I don't think so, like but it's still giving you a weapon that's more powerful than the base weapon. It's like that. I don't like that in the slightest.
They should have made it like a month after the game came out. They should have made it obtainable in game.
Yeah, because that's just a weapon instead of armor that you can't receive unless you paid the money before the game came out. I could throw out a lot of other complaints about that. I've learned so much because I've watched a couple videos. There is a dedicated community of people who despise the remake because it was not faithful to the original. And now after looking into it more, I'm like,
faithful? Wasn't it like 1-to-1 for like most of the game? I was upset because they didn't add anything new.
The game itself, like the bosses and everything, was. Hold on, my mic. Yeah, my mic's freaking out. The thing that people don't like is there was a lot of the design philosophies that they didn't hold up. So it was like you look at. I have to find the video because it was a few weeks ago that I watched it. But the guy basically went through and looked at every single boss. He went through all these different things, and it's like, this boss is meant to be a representation of whatever. You know, it's like this, like Phalanx, the first boss you fight in the game, is meant to be you know, like if you compare what it looked like in the original Demon Souls to what it looks like now, the glowing light that was in the Phalanx boss was meant to represent, it was the same color as like the souls have been throughout the Dark Souls series, where it's that bright white. But they randomly just changed it to a teal and make it 10 times as bright for no reason. And it's just like stuff like that where it's like they're not staying faithful to that original design. Like another one is the Adjudicator. In the original, he's meant to represent some kind of noble or something. I don't remember, but he's adorned with tribal tattoos, and he's got gold all over his, like jewelry all over his body and everything. And in the remake, he's just like fat and, well, I mean, he's fat in the original. He's gross and disgusting, and he doesn't have any of the jewelry. He's just got some random barbarian armor that it's like it's completely different. And after looking at that, like watching this video and looking into this community who doesn't like it, I'm like, wow, they really did change a lot. And it doesn't affect gameplay at all, but what it does affect is the storytelling. And when you have a game that's the atmosphere is the storytelling, a lot of the stuff they changed matters. So
okay,
I'd say look into it. I think it was a fairly long video, but it was definitely interesting to look at.
I mean, that's interesting. Okay, I didn't know any of that. I also don't care about Demon Souls, in all honesty. But like, I just didn't like how because Demon Souls 1 was like very famously like rushed, and they had to cut a lot of stuff. Right. I just don't know why they never went back, especially when they had a remake coming out. Why they didn't add in like that the frost biome that got cut, or fix Dragon Gods fight, because it's really lame.
Yeah, that's a lot of the things they should have done. Is taken some of those.
They should have made it the original vision. They should have did what DD2 did to DD1 for Dragon's Dogma 2, where they just made the game they wanted to make to begin with.
Yeah, well,
which I don't know if you know, but in the original first Dragon's Dogma, they had to cut like 75% of the content to get it on shelves.
Jeez.
Yeah. Like, I love Dragon's Dogma 1. I can't wait for when you play Dragon's Dogma 1. It is like a shell of what it could have been, and then Dragon's Dogma 2 adds everything that the first one was meant to have.
I shared the video to the general chat of the Discord that I
will take a look at it later.
It's an hour long, so I wouldn't blame you if you didn't listen to the whole thing, but you can at least look at a couple of the designs he points out and see where, like, he'll explain the lore behind the design and then explain why the design was not the new design does not fit the lore. Yeah. And it's interesting. But
also, it was a launch for the PS5 in a time where like 5 people could get their hands on a PS5.
Yeah. So. Exactly.
Why they never ported it to PC, I'll never know.
But we got one other. I'm not looking forward to this. This is gonna get one of those arguments. We got.
So I can intro this if you want.
Yeah, you could go.
So
ahead.
Last time I streamed, which was 2 days ago, which was Sunday, I was playing Rune Factory 5, and Ian came in, along with another friend that I have called Carter. And Ian asked the question, is the sea a soup? And I said, no, it's not. Why is it not soup?
It's an ocean.
Why is it not soup? My argument is because it's not edible. You cannot drink seawater. It will physically hurt you if you do so. You can consume it, but you can also consume rocks and tree bark and sand. You can eat them. Your body will digest them, but they're not edible. They will hurt you if you consume them. Seawater will hurt you if you consume it, right? It is probably safer to drink your own urine at times than to drink pure unchanged seawater.
My argument is that the ocean is not prepared to be a food. The ocean is a place for aquatic life to live. It was not intentionally prepared by people to be eaten.
Sea razor, no, that's not true.
Everything.
Just because the body is capable of digesting something doesn't mean that it's not gonna kill you if you eat it. To me, I don't know about the actual definition of what's edible, but like if something hurts you because you ate it, that's not edible.
Well, I think let's
The people
see.
that made first
Fit
soup.
or suitable to be eaten.
So yeah, tree bark, not edible. You can eat it. Grass, not edible. You can eat it. It's not
Grass
gonna do
is
much to
edible.
you.
Something that is suitable
Some
or
grass
safe
is,
to
like
eat.
lemongrass is. Normal lawn grass, probably not.
I mean,
No, it is.
can't have, like,
you
a-
can.
It won't do anything for you, but you
it's-
can eat it.
I was gonna say it's there's no point in ingesting it, but it won't kill you, so it's considered edible.
So it's like celery.
Yeah,
yeah,
celery, while edible, is the
So grass
least
is a diet
terrible.
food. If I want to lose weight, I just eat grass.
yeah, just
Got
go
it.
out. You need
I
to mow your lawn.
Would
Just
not
get
suggest
chomping.
it, but yes.
Yeah, I know. Stick to celery. At least it has a crunch.
And you could put peanut
But
butter.
no, because it doesn't matter if there's like fish in the bowl you eat from the soup or whatever, or there's kelp or seaweed. The fact that the water itself will actively hurt you because it's so rich in sodium that it's just like a heart attack waiting to happen. It's just pure unfiltered
So-
salt water.
Okay.
Pasta
But
water.
The reason
Eli,
I wanted to
Eli?
talk about this because Eli, you work as a chef, so
So
you have more culinary knowledge than I do
Hol-
currently, probably most likely. So
Be-
I wanted your take on
before
this.
before he starts talking, I want to present to him the arguments that Ian has made for the ocean being soup.
Which are something, by the way. There's something else.
I was gonna
My
say.
God.
So some of them, like this, one of the arguments he made was that the people who first made soup were not intentionally trying to make soup; they just accidentally made soup. So
That's not true.
Somehow, I was gonna say that's not even true, but somehow that's supposed to mean that the ocean is soup. Because the ocean was apparently accidentally made in his mind. But anyways, that's one of the arguments. I need to open up my Far Cry 2 thing again to see more of the arguments that he presented. But let me see. Like cavemen first trying to make soup. Yes, he was arguing that cavemen made soup accidentally.
Cavemen also did not make soup.
No.
Yeah, when they didn't even have meat, like they didn't because they couldn't really kill anything to eat meat that wasn't already dead. So they'd had like fruit and vegetables, right? For the most part, correct?
No, they would eat meat. A lot of times it was other humans that they ate.
Okay.
Other humans,
fair
and it
enough.
was raw meat because they didn't know how to cook necessarily.
They didn't have fire. And then
Once
it's
fire
not like
was
seasoning was a
discovered,
thing.
that did drastically change the etymology of what we were allowed to eat. Now, we did eat other meat when we came across it. However, we were much more known as scavengers until we started
Yeah.
creating tools. From tools, that's
Scavengers
when we...
or like as in like vultures, right? Like eating things that are already gone.
No, we also ate a lot of bones, so keep that in mind.
Yeah,
because
that's
we
true.
figured out how to open bones to get the marrow.
Wasn't that like the original purpose for like the tonsils, and that's why it's like a useless part of the body? It helped to digest like indigestible things like bones.
Yes, and
the
including the
appendix.
gallbladder and the appendix allowed
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
The appendix breaks down leafy greens better, whereas the gallbladder will. That's why you have gallstones, is because it'll break down bone material.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in reality, my take on the soup being an ocean is the soup is just an uncooked stock.
That's fair.
This is where we were
But,
getting
okay,
into it
question.
earlier, texting
Question.
each other. Yes.
You say uncooked stock. I'm being devil's advocate because I want to know the answers to the question. Okay. I don't agree with this statement. Uncooked stock. Yet there's like kelp and seaweed and like every myriad of fish that can be eaten raw. how can it be uncooked soup if all the ingredients can be eaten raw?
Because you don't always have to eat such things raw. That the whole point of cooking something, this is something you actually learn in culinary school, is it breaks down bad chemicals inside of things and at the same time enhances the good chemicals inside of them. So while you can eat sushi, which is raw fish, it is technically unhealthy for you. That's why when you are pregnant, when a woman is pregnant, they tell you not to eat certain things because such as sushi, because it is extremely bad for the baby.
Yeah.
Same with a lot of raw meats and such. Because the chemicals in it will poison you.
Yeah.
So the reason I say it's a raw stock is many of the things that go into a stock pot are unedible. You are not supposed to eat. Such as fish bones, fish skin, fish scales, the fish head. You throw all that in there. You cook it in water. Ocean is water. You add salt. You add veggies. Salt is technically a rock, so
Yeah.
that argument made by Spencer earlier was wild to me.
Okay. Salt may be a rock, but whenever I'm talking rock, I'm not talking little itty bits of salt. I'm talking a
Also, same with me. I'm talking about like a granite, rock you find in your driveway.
Limestone, sandstone. There's all kinds of different rock in the ocean that are not edible. Are you
Are
gonna
rocks
put?
just fucking floating around the goddamn ocean?
They're all over the
see
floor of
rocks
the ocean.
swimming.
They're not
If it's a
floating because
stonefish,
they're
then
rocks.
yes, actually. If it's a
You can eat
stonefish, then
stonefish.
yes.
You can eat stonefish.
You can, but no one should. It's the same thing with like the
Fugu.
Pufferfish.
Yeah, pabugu. It's the same thing with pufferfish. You can eat it. That doesn't mean you should under any circumstance. It doesn't
Eli,
matter if
I
it
want
tastes
you to
like
cook
candy.
me a
You shouldn't
jellyfish
eat it.
right now.
Cook you a what?
A jellyfish.
It's all water. Just take a straw and just like suck it up. Delicious jellyfish.
Tasty. Internal inflammation in my digestive tract.
Okay, there are some things that are edible, like that you can eat, but that you just shouldn't eat. And stonefish, jellyfish, clownfish, anything that's a fish and poisonous is like a no. You there's no reason to eat those things.
It's the argument to me is not. It's like it's also not cooked. So there's no.
So it's
you
not a
shouldn't-
soup.
It's not a soup. Soup requires you to cook something or
this is
prepare
also
it
true.
or process it.
That's
Because
This
the
is true.
act of cooking is to process something.
That's one of the things
So-
I was saying to Ian when he was trying to argue it was soup. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's not
You
cooked.
wouldn't, yeah. You wouldn't eat a bowl. You wouldn't eat like a potato soup if the potatoes had just been dropped into the water and they were still like starchy and and hard.
Potatoes are actually extremely poisonous to humans. Keep that in mind.
Potatoes? I thought they were a superfood. Like you can eat them any time of the day. Like any.
No. Potatoes
like-
there is a list of nightshade plants, which are foods that we are not supposed to eat raw. I can actually go pull up the list because I was talking to somebody about this the other day.
Potatoes are on that list. They're not highly poisonous. It's not like if you take a single bite out of a raw potato, you're gonna die, but it's definitely not good for you.
Included on the
Is this like on the level of like apple seeds can kill you? Where it's like if you have
Yes.
like 50 of them at a time, then yeah, they can hurt you.
It's
but...
like it's exactly that. It's like cayenne pepper is nightshade. Has
Okay.
nightshade in it, which will kill you if you eat too much of something, it'll kill you.
Or like an orange has acid, so it will melt you if you have too much of it. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just
Or like-
hyperbole, but
Eggplant or aubergine, depending on where you live, is so full of nicotine that you'll overdose.
I was not aware of that.
Yes, there is nicotine in a lot of plants that we eat.
Man, I don't have to worry about that because eggplant is gross and I won't eat it.
you need some good
Nicotine
baba
is
ganoush.
also in bell peppers. potatoes.
That would make sense. Bell peppers are pretty hype. They're pretty good. I like bell peppers.
Bell peppers are good.
It's the whole thing is nicotine is a chemical that plants produce to keep animals from eating them.
Right.
However, nicotine, the levels of nicotine go down when you cook it.
Well,
nicotine is actually not bad for you. It's just you have to take it in such low quantities because it's a stimulant.
Right.
That's why peppers were naturally like chili peppers. That's why they're hot, right? It's to prevent like elephants and stuff from eating them. They freak the fuck out and they don't eat them again.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's to keep animals from eating them, except humans who are just like, that thing made my tongue hurt. I'm gonna eat it more.
Or
well, that's the same thing for sour. That's the same thing for sourness too, right? That's also like a defense mechanism that humans like. That's not something like a dog or like a deer will like.
Right.
Yeah, it's like sugar. We also have the process. Our bodies can break down sugar a lot better than animals. That's why we can consume sugar.
Do you know the video of like the 3 deer getting drunk because they keep eating fermented apples and they just stumble around everywhere?
Oh, there's a video of a squirrel doing the same thing.
Yeah,
he keeps trying to climb the tree and falling off like 2 feet up the tree just because he's so drunk.
But it's like I would never just grab a pot of fucking ocean water and cook it up because that makes no sense. But at the same time, you're supposed to cook pasta in water so salted that it will make you sick to drink it.
Which I have never done, but yeah, I guess so.
So
that's the culinary way to do it. Then you can use pasta water in sauces to replace out your salt that you're adding.
This is why my main argument: the ocean is not prepared with the intention of being food. Neither is any aquarium or anything like that. It is a habitat for sea life. That is the stance I sit on. Like, you can argue, okay, it has all the stuff that you could make a stock or a soup or whatever, but it is not prepared with the intention of being food. This is like,
by the way, notice, do not eat raw stock. That it will make you sick.
Yeah, of course.
Because stock is not meant to be. Yeah,
like chicken stock, beef stock, bone stock.
Yeah,
like that?
it will make you sick because your body is so overly salted.
Yeah.
That it will make you sick.
But this is Eli. I'll say this right now. I would sooner be willing to agree with your take that ice cream cake isn't cake than I would the take that the ocean is soup or stock.
Okay, hold on. I know we had this conversation last time, but is it like a cake that you bake, but you put ice cream on top of it, or is it just like a block of ice cream that you call a cake?
Either way, it's a cake.
No. One's a cake, one's not.
I don't care. It's a cake. It's ice cream in the shape of a cake that counts.
If the ice cream is icing, then it's an ice cream cake.
Shit on a table and then put icing on it. Is that a fucking cake?
Yes, yes, it is.
What? Happy birthday!
If you want to get technical about
only
this,
good
Eli,
boys eat their cake.
Eli, by your definition of what a cake is, if I pull out a sheet of brownies without cutting them, that's a cake.
Yes.
That's
they're made the same exact way.
Anything that you bake that is bread is a cake.
Yes, if it has more sugar than salt, cake.
Yeah. I would say it'd be like a loaf of cake. That would work. Although I don't know what quantifies a loaf as a loaf. Maybe size or like shape. Like if you
that's actually a good question.
It's actually
if you bake a cake with a bread pan, it would be a loaf of cake. That would make sense.
If you want to get technical, a loaf is just a way to define bread when it's not cut.
Okay, so then a full uncut cake would be a loaf of cake. I think that would make sense. It would be like people would question it, but like the logic sound.
Eli,
because there are languages that describe it as a loaf of cake.
Yeah.
Good grief. I will hold
It's
the
like-
stance. I will also say, Dauntless, you're like the third person to agree with him. Everybody else we've talked to has been on my side that it's a cake.
Well, because taking like removing the no bake cakes, which sure, I guess technically are not cakes. To me, a cake as a foundation needs to be created with heat. Because what you're describing is just a tub of ice cream is technically a cake, and that's not true.
But there is a difference than the ice cream that makes up an ice cream cake and just like a tub of ice cream.
Okay, I take that tub of ice cream and I just plop it down onto a plate and I remove the tub. Therefore, it is just like a sandcastle of ice cream. Is that a cake? No, it's not.
No, that isn't.
What are we doing here?
But if to Spencer, if you put icing on it, it's now a cake.
Why are you putting icing on ice cream to begin with? To me, like it's like
ice cream
sounds
cakes
like
don't
very-
have icing on them.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
they
all
do.
ice cream. They do? I don't know. To me,
What ice
I'm
cream
picturing
cake
like
are
a
you-
normal. I'm picturing like a normal cake, but the icing is just ice cream instead.
Ice
That's
cream
what I'm
cakes
picturing.
have icing on them. It is
Look-
not your typical butterscotch icing, but it is an icing.
Dauntless, look
Okay.
up a Carvel ice cream cake because that is what I picture when I say ice cream cake.
Not like a Dairy Queen cake where it's just like a cake made of ice cream.
I mean, Dairy,
I just
think
looked
Dairy
one up.
Queen
No
uses
shit, it
Carvel.
has icing on it. It has fucking icing
Okay.
on it.
Carvel ice cream cake images. Oh, like the triple layer
Yeah.
thing? I would say it's more of a
I'm looking at one right now that has brownie pieces inside of it.
Yes.
So, okay,
That
if I were on like my day to day, I would call it a cake. But if we're talking like if we're gonna be breaking down definitions, I don't know, man. It's just ice cream, just in a specific order. Like this is no different from like a Neapolitan
I will
or like a Rocky Road.
I will always hold firm that an ice cream
A
cake,
cake,
is
well,
cake.
a cake needs to have cake in it though. Like a sugary bread, like a sugary dough, as like, or like a sugary batter as its foundation. It can't just be a mound of ice cream. At that point, it's just like frozen milk with sugar,
frozen cream.
dairy product.
Yeah.
You know, like
So
again, it would be no different from just like putting a tub upside down and lifting it up.
it's
But
like the
if
same
it
thing
has
as like
cake
pizza
inside
dough
of it,
pizza dough is just bread, but when you put it in a different shape, it comes out differently.
yeah. I guess so. I never really thought about it that way. I always thought like pizza dough was like had like a specific amount of like yeast or something into it to make it like soft yet crunchy. But I guess you can just do that with normal bread as well. But
It no joke, Dauntless. Pizza dough is just a white bread recipe that you
is it okay?
Yeah. That
I
you
never-
roll very
I
thin.
never
It
really
is-
thought about it. So.
Okay, can I? Oh, am I going to be able to remember the pizza recipe from the pizza place off the top of my head?
Oh,
I can give it to you right now.
hold
While
on.
we're talking about this, I had something last night that was like the weirdest thing. Have you guys ever had a cheeseburger pizza?
Yes, I have. It's really good.
You're
delicious.
American, of course you have. It's the weirdest fucking thing.
Have you ever had a taco pizza?
Pickle flavor pizza. It was weird.
Taco pizza?
Taco pizza is fantastic.
Taco pizza? I assume it's just like ground beef and like taco seasoning. That sounds
Taco
crazy.
seasoning,
But no,
tomatoes, lettuce.
It was
taco sauce.
just a pizza that just had pickles on it, and I'm like, this is foreign to me.
We had at the place we worked at. We had a Cuban pizza that was essentially the contents of a Cuban laid out onto a pizza.
Oh, that's cool.
It was delicious. That one was really good.
Okay. Pineapple
Yeah.
on pizza. How do you guys feel about Hawaiian?
My favorite topping.
Oh,
Okay,
perfectly
fine.
fine.
Love.
I've only
love
had it like
Hawaiian
once or
pizza.
twice. It's not. It's just not like.
I think I have some cold Hawaiian pizza in my fridge right now.
All right,
I'm
question.
going to go eat after the podcast.
How do you guys feel about Canadian pizza? Like Canadian style pizza?
It.
What?
Hold on, there's.
I was going to say
It's
what?
different. Hold on. Google.
You've never had a Canadian? Okay. It is bacon, ham, and sausage.
Oh,
With
so just
pepperoni.
like a meat
Okay.
meat lover.
So
It's
we
meat
call that
lovers.
meat lovers.
It's meat lovers, but it has bacon and Pimo bacon, basically.
Okay.
Which, if you don't love Pimo bacon, or also known as Canadian bacon, then you probably don't love it. But
It's
honestly,
ham.
people, yeah, it's
we
exactly
call it ham down here.
It's just it's a specific kind of preparation ham. That's it.
We always
It's awesome.
we joke down here that Canadian bacon is lying to you because it's not real bacon. It's like, well, I
It's
could have
from the same
bacon, or
animal.
I could have ham trying to disguise itself as bacon.
It's okay. I will admit it is as bacon as Spam could be bacon, but like it's from the same animal. So
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
how
that's
pedantic
it's,
are we being?
yeah. We just that's what we joke about.
Yeah.
My personal
Like
favorite pizza.
I would never call like chicken, turkey, or like beef bacon real bacon. I wouldn't go that
Right.
far.
My personal favorite pizza was always it was one of two. There was one that was just a more general, that is a Hawaiian but replace the ham with bacon.
Great combination.
Love that one. But then there was a specific one from Domino's Pizza. They have a Philly cheesesteak pizza that
Also a
is
great one.
absolutely bomb. It is so good. It is so good. I love
My
that.
favorite pizza of all time is the trash pizza.
Trash pizza's good too.
The trash pizza. What's trash pizza? Is it just
Basically, you take all the ingredients, just throw it on there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a supreme pizza. Just in New York, they call it a trash pizza.
Are you guys fans of the leftover omelet? Where for breakfast you just take whatever leftovers you have.
Oh,
from
shit
last
on a
night's
shingle.
dinner and
That's shit on a shingle down here.
really?
Yeah, that's what
Oh,
we call
okay.
it.
I didn't know that was a name.
Yeah, I've
That's a
heard that
very-
name before,
that's
but
a very gross name for something so delicious.
you being so excited, like, oh, yeah.
I
we
can't
just
eat
call it-
eggs,
yeah. Okay.
so
That,
I
see,
cannot have it.
there's
Okay.
a lot of funny. Like, do you have kitchen sink cookies?
That's another good one.
No.
So kitchen sink
is-
cookie. It's essentially, I'm pretty sure it got its name from you're putting everything in the kitchen sink in it, like the quote, you know.
Yeah.
But it's what all is it, Eli? It's like a regular chocolate chip
chips.
cookie, but you include pretzels,
Sprinkle- you-
caramel,
You throw everything in there.
peanuts. Yeah.
Raisins you put in there.
So you turn it into like a crumble, basically, not a cookie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still
Yeah.
like a solid cookie, but it's got like a ton of ingredients in it. It's sweet,
Yeah.
it's salty, it's they're really good, but you can only eat like one at a time because they're so heavy on your stomach.
Or like, have you heard of slutty brownies?
No.
This is one of my the only desserts that I can physically make. It's cookie dough with a layer of Oreos with a layer of brownies, and you bake it.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Oh, I
Wait,
keep
the only one
forgetting
you
you
can
call
make-
those
you've never-
slutty brownies.
What do you mean the only one you can make? You can't just make like cake mix cake? Like what are we?
Hey,
Or are we talking about from like scratch? I'm confused.
From scratch. I can make
Gotcha.
cookies, I can make brownies from scratch. They never come out right. I make slutty brownies perfect every single time. I don't know what I do differently. I think
Gotcha.
it's the laissez-faire approach that I take where I just throw it all in a pan, whip it in an oven,
Well,
and be like, I'll
Gotcha.
remember it in like 40 minutes.
See, the thing is, you are chef brained, where it's just like you kind of throw this much in, you kind of throw that much in, and then it tastes good. You can't do that with baking at all. Like, baking is so much more precise than cooking.
The only time that it has ever come out really well was I made a cinnamon apple cookie.
The other thing
Okay.
you're forgetting one thing you make really well:
What?
key lime pie.
Oh, yeah, I do make a mean key lime pie,
You-
but that's not... I make
I
fake
never-
key lime pie.
I Key lime always angers me because it just replaces stuff that could just be lime instead, and lime's so much better than key lime.
My issue with key lime pie is it is either the most divine thing you've ever eaten, or it's absolutely garbage and no in between. There's like, no in between.
Especially when you're drinking something. Like if you drink like a key lime soda, to me it's awful. But if I drink a lime soda, oh, it's divine. I just don't like key lime. I just don't like how it's like the bitterness when I want it to be sour.
I will say, Chick-fil-A down here put out a key lime lemonade that was delicious, and I didn't expect it. I was like, I'll give this a shot, but
I refuse to eat at Chick-fil-A. But okay, isn't that the one that like killed someone? That lemonade?
No,
or it has
the
like
one you're thinking of,
grams of caffeine or whatever.
The one you're thinking of is the charged lemonade from I think it's Panera.
Yeah,
because it legitimately it was in a large
like 4 cups of it was like 8 cups of espresso or something ridiculous like that.
Because it
sounds like a good time.
What was I want to know the exact, because it was a lot. It was like 800 milligrams of caffeine.
Oh, that's child play.
Well,
how much is in the,
you have more caffeine in your blood than the average energy drink company has in their building. So I don't want to hear it from you.
But then, like, how much is 88 compared to like a Monster though? I don't know.
Monster has 200 and 55.
I think the regular Monster has 200 even. A 30-ounce charged lemonade contains up to 390 milligrams of caffeine, which is the equivalent of 4 cups of coffee.
Now, is that for flavor, or is it just to get people like crack addicted to it?
Because it's supposed to be like, hey, you come to Panera. You know, Panera is the place. I don't know if you have them up in Canada. It's like a little cafe. You go in. You're supposed to bring your laptop and your schoolwork, and you sit down. You hang out. You eat some very corporate food. I don't know how to describe their food. It's very much like, here's a little sandwich with avocado and whatever, and then you can get like the cookie and you get your charged lemonade to give you that energy for sitting on your laptop, which I don't understand. But
so the average amount of caffeine to overdose is 10 grams.
Okay.
Which is something like 1,000 milligrams, I think.
10 grams? No, 1,000 milligrams is 1 gram.
So yeah, 10,000 milligrams of caffeine will give you an overdose.
You can end up the daily recommended dose, or maximum dose, I should say, is 400 milligrams. You're not supposed to exceed 400 milligrams.
If you have 2 Panera lemonades, you could just die.
One Panera lemonade is 10 milligrams short of the daily.
So one and 1/8.
Yeah.
Now let me pull up the coffee that I drink.
So you can exceed 400 in a day and be fine. Like, there are some pre-workouts that are like 700 to 800 milligrams of caffeine, which is insane to me.
So the coffee I drink has, for a 12-ounce cup, is 728 milligrams of caffeine.
Yep.
And I will drink about 4 or 5 of those a night.
This is also the same man who used to show up to high school every single day with a 64-ounce mug of essentially Speedway's equivalent to Monster.
Yep.
With a little bit of Mountain Dew mixed in for flavor. He would drink that
Red Mountain Dew to give it flavor.
Single day.
Sometimes twice a day. And then if I was having an especially rough morning, such as I was out too late and was having to push through, I would drop 2 5-hour energies in it.
Jesus.
Yeah, when I say he has
And-
more caffeine in his blood than most caffeine retailers,
Oh,
I'm
no, I mean,
not lying.
I mean, my partner's a big caffeine head too, just more than me.
I try not to get too into the caffeine thing. I only drink caffeine whenever I'm going to like work out that day.
I just like Monsters because it tastes good, not because I need it. I'm like, Eli, are you also a coffee, or is your lifeblood just energy drinks?
Well, I don't drink energy drinks.
He
Funny
used-
enough, I just drink coffee.
Yeah, I was gonna say he doesn't
Nowadays,
drink energy drinks anymore. He used to,
Gotcha.
but
I
yeah,
just the taste of
coffee.
them changed. They changed up the flavor, and I was like, I can't do it anymore. So I stopped drinking energy drinks.
Gotcha. Because I can never like coffee because it's just dirt water.
Yeah.
Unless it's like triple, but at that point it's not a morning drink at that point. It's just a dessert. But
I
or
am
like,
of the
an
same.
ice cap.
I
Like an
have
ice
to
cap
have
isn't-
some sort of creamer in my coffee. I can't drink black coffee.
So in the
Yeah,
mornings,
I
I,
don't
have
drink-
to put a splash of creamer just for the sugar to get me going. But at night, I'll just drink straight black coffee, and everybody thinks I'm weird.
I mean, some people like bitter. It's just right.
Yeah. It's just flavor profile that I like. Also, if you ever make tres leches, which is a Hispanic cake,
Ooh.
make it with coffee instead of
Okay, well, that's cheating.
coffee mixed with cream.
Okay,
Amazing.
coffee cake is just infinitely better than coffee. That's cheating. Okay, obviously coffee cake is amazing. If there's a pastry or a cake, coffee makes it better. On its own, though, I would never have coffee though.
So a thing to try would be tried chicory coffee, which is red bean coffee. It's not real coffee.
Okay.
It's a very big thing in New Orleans. Over there, what you're supposed to do is you take beignets, which is just dough dumped in powdered sugar, and you dip it in your coffee.
Yeah. Okay.
Amazing.
Yeah, they're like biscuits, but like better.
Yeah, because it's sugar.
See, what I've always found funny is I'm just not a big coffee guy.
Wait, aren't they just like donuts at that point?
Yes, they are.
In essence,
Okay.
yeah.
Square donuts.
I absolutely love coffee flavored ice cream.
I hate coffee flavored
Okay,
ice cream.
so-
It doesn't taste right to me.
I don't like ice cream. I only like vanilla and strawberry ice cream. I don't like anything else. Not really.
I'm
I'll
huge.
tolerate like Reese's Pieces. I'll tolerate Skittles. I'll tolerate whatever. Right. I actively do not like chocolate ice cream. It just doesn't taste like chocolate to me, no matter what. I don't love ice cream.
I absolutely
I
adore ice
also
cream.
cannot eat strawberry flavored anything, or in strawberries. Can't do it. Don't know why. My brain's always recoiled
Is
from
it because a
strawberries.
lot of the time it's like fake strawberry, like how like
Nope.
everything grape flavored is just purple? It's not real grape.
He doesn't like
I can't
just
do-
plain strawberries either. He just
Yeah,
does not like the
it's
flavor
the
of
texture.
strawberries.
Okay,
It's actually not the flavor; it's the texture. Throws me off every time, and then
Okay,
the flavor
so
when I eat
you're-
bake.
So you're a texture eater then, right? You don't really care what it tastes like as long as it feels good in your mouth. Like, could you eat just like a sloppy soup? Like if it was
Yeah, I
just
love
like
that.
okay,
Absolutely
okay.
love it. It's funny enough. It's because the seeds are on the outside of the strawberry that it just broke my brain when I was like a teenager and I bit into a strawberry and just got the seeds all over my mouth, and I was like, nope, can't do this anymore.
I got it. Yeah.
See, I wouldn't say I'm a texture eater necessarily. The only times that I note texture is when it's something that's off. Like when the texture is bad, I'm just like, oh, I can't eat this. What's an example?
My favorite example to use there is overcooked pork because it
Oh,
feels like
overcooked.
you're chewing on a
Yes.
tire.
It's like you're chewing on leather.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
That
I gotta say, so we've been budget shopping for like groceries this week. I have fallen in love with pork belly. It's the tastiest meat. It's so good.
It's
Oh
bacon.
my god, good.
It's bacon,
Well,
not
yeah,
slices.
but we have it with ramen. Like I dice it up. Like we get like the slab of it, and it's like $4 for like a slab, right? Because no one fucking buys it. And I dice it. I just simple salt and pepper, dude. It's so good. It's better than steak. I swear. Pork is becoming like my favorite meat of the three main ones now. It's so. Now when it's dry, it's chalk. It's awful.
I was gonna say when it's overcooked, it's like chewing leather. When chicken is overcooked, it's like eating ash.
You bust out the ranch.
You
bust out the ranch.
See, I don't like ranch. I don't like dressings because that's one of the things that's like I don't like the texture of this. It's not quite a liquid, like it's not loose enough to be a liquid, but it's not solid. It's something. It's the same way like I've gotten chickens from like a rotisserie chicken before, and it's slimy, and I can't eat it. I don't like the feeling of that. Yeah, like if there's a pizza place down here that I absolutely hated. I still hate them. They're called Jet's Pizza. Oh. I swear, they make their pizza and then they just have a vat of grease that they set their pizza in for like 20 minutes after cooking it, and then they give it to you. It like, I'm not joking. It's drenched in grease, and it's the most disgusting pizza I've ever eaten. I hate it.
You would probably also hate the Dirty Susan.
Probably, just by the sound of that.
Because it's a little bit of a convoluted item to make, because it's French fries, chicken tenders, a couple other things that you throw through the fryer, like jalapeno poppers, in a hoagie bun that you deep fry. Just all
Jesus
grease.
Christ.
Yeah, that's way too much.
Sorry, I didn't mean to say that, but
my God, another example of like when at the pizza place we worked at, the Cuban that we made, they would put honey on it, but they would put the honey on the outside of the bread.
Okay, I got a bone to pick with honey. How the hell do you cook with honey? I've tried to make like 4 roasts, all with a honey glaze, and it just comes out like burnt charcoal. I don't know how you cook with honey. I've tried ham. I've tried pork, like mostly pork. Like I've tried like a ham. I've tried like a pork roast. I brushed on like the normal like stuff. I basted it to begin with like a mustard blend, and then like 20 to 5 minutes. I take it out every like minute or so, give it a small glaze of the honey, and I put it back in. And every time it's like nothing, a little bit like caramelized charcoal. I hate it. I want it to work so bad, but I can't get it to.
Mix it with brown sugar and salt.
Does that really help? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. It will definitely help. Because I've just been using. I just microwave the honey a little bit to get it like goopy, and then I take.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that at all. Because as soon as you microwave honey, it'll start crystallizing.
Okay.
Let it sit.
Well, then how do you do it with normal honey? Because it's like viscous and it's like thick, and you can barely get it out of the bottle.
Put it in warm water, or run warm water over it.
Okay, that would work.
My issue with the Cuban we made was they wanted us to brush the honey on the outside of the bread. So when you would eat the Cuban, your hands are like sticking to the bread, and that's something that's even more of like that sets me off. Having sticky stuff on my hands is like the worst feeling in the world. I do not like having sticky stuff on my hands. So whenever I made myself a Cuban, I put the honey on the inside.
Okay. If I'm eating, I don't care. If the moment I'm done, I'm like, okay, how do I take my headset off and get up without making a mess?
I hate it.
One of my guiltiest pleasures is I love like a messy sub.
See, messy is one thing. Like if I end up with sauce or grease on my hands, that's fine. Example, but when I'm trying to eat the Cuban and it's just sticky, like
Okay.
Don't like,
because like if I get Subway or if I go to Subway's, which is like, or if I go to like Subway's, which is like a local deli, or Subway, I need that drowned in sauce. I love a very like wet sandwich. It sounds disgusting when I say it like that, but like chipotle, mustard, mayo, sub sauce. I need that like 4 layers each on like my sub. So I love a nice messy sandwich.
I like my sandwiches
I hate afterwards
wet.
when I know it sounds gnarly.
I like them moist.
Obviously, you eat it right there, so it's not like soggy bread when you eat it. You eat it like as soon as you can.
No, I get what you mean.
Also, it's best when you don't toast it. If you want like a lot of sauce on a bread, it's best if you don't toast it because then it gets soggy, like slower.
Faster.
It still has it. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Another thing to try is mix honey with lime juice.
Okay, it's so hard to I can get lemon juice. I don't know. I guess it's a Canada thing, or maybe it's a me thing. It's so hard to get lime juice. It's so hard to get like a normal lime. Juice. Okay, it's just hard to get like a lime anything, like a simple lime drink. It's also hard. It's either like key lime or some like it's not lime. It's hard. It's unnecessarily difficult to get anything lime. Canada, it's annoying.
So I don't really care.
Ian is now asking Alex if the ocean is a soup.
Who is another chef, by the way. Keep that in mind. So honey, lime juice, black pepper, and cayenne pepper.
Oh my gosh.
Tastes like Tennessee whiskey.
Okay.
Really?
But it's more of a glaze.
It's not a soup, Ian!
Me and Alex found that out by accident when we were recipe testing stuff together.
Ian, the furthest I'm willing to go is to say it's a stock, because then at least you're agreeing it's not edible. It's not being cooked. It's not a soup.
What if you get like a big crock pot or like a big like cauldron of sea stock and then cook it? Is it then a soup?
Yeah, because you're technically cooking out all the bad stuff.
You're cooking out all the bad stuff, so sure. But
don't you have technically be a stock because
don't you have to cook the salt water like until it's practically evaporated for it to be like not like dangerous amounts of sodium though?
No, because you're also not supposed to put everything. So when you make a stock, you aren't supposed to put like the entire stock into the soup.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because it's overly salted to make you sick.
Ian, you already had another chef say that it's a stock and not a soup. Oh my gosh.
No, Alex, I said they're just giant charcuterie boards. That's my take. If the ocean is a soup, continents are just charcuterie boards.
My take is that this is the most... I should try not to say the word.
It's a fun conversation. You can't deny. The argument is dumb, but the conversation is interesting.
So stupid.
It's like my argument that poultry should not be classified as the same kind of meat as like mammal meat. Same thing with fish.
Yeah.
No. That's not the argument you've always made. You've always said that chicken isn't meat. That poultry isn't meat.
Because it's foul.
That's
the way you say it all the time, and that's why I disagree with you.
But it's flesh. Meat is just flesh.
This exactly, Dauntless.
Tree creature. Bark is flesh.
I can reason.
No, okay.
I can reason.
But
chicken
tree bark
and poultry being considered.
First of all, tree bark isn't edible. First of all, it's not food.
It can be.
You can eat it. Certain trees you can.
Certain trees,
okay.
Yes.
Cinnamon is tree bark.
Is human considered meat? Yes. I wouldn't classify human in the same category as cow, but I also wouldn't classify fowl in the same
to chicken.
As
but it's flesh. I would consider everything that is flesh meat.
Okay, so cinnamon is flesh.
In a way, yes. In a roundabout way, yes. So okay, tree bark is flesh in the same way your nail is cartilage or enamel. Sorry, it's not flesh, but it is part of you. It is an active growing organ. Your teeth, your nails, all made of enamel, all have its own individual life and death cycles. Same thing as tree bark. So I wouldn't say it's flesh. Would you consider your teeth being flesh?
No.
So then why would your tree bark be? It has everything else that the meat does of your body, but it's not meat.
Is human red meat or white meat?
Red.
meat.
Red, yeah.
It's blood. Like oxidized meat.
Ian, you did
Oxidized
not
blood
just
meat.
say depends on the skin color.
That's
pretty
really funny.
fucked.
I read that and I wasn't gonna say it on stream.
Is it light meat or dark meat? Well, I don't know. Oh my god.
Because it's also like you get weird things like red meat and white meat, but fish can be both red and white.
Isn't it just hold on? But isn't white and dark meat just dependent on where that meat on the animal is? Like, because dark meat is just like more moist
some
and
animals.
fattier meat than like, it's just a fattier rendition of like the meat, right? So it's usually like belly or like thigh area, like a fattier meat.
There are some
white meat is more like muscle, like it's less, it's more dry.
Tilapia is all
right?
white meat. Tilapia is all white meat, whereas a salmon is all red meat.
I was gonna say there are animals that are made up exclusively of one of the two.
Yeah,
Humans
no, I get
are
that,
all
but
red
isn't that because tilapia is just like a more like physically capable fish than a salmon, and salmons are usually fattened up just through their natural
Salmon
life
are
cycle.
actually
Like,
really powerful.
No, like that's not what I'm like. That's like because like the way how I was described to it as a kid was like white meat is like if a human was like red meat, but there's also like the white like the white version of red meat would be like sinew, like the direct muscle where it's like tough and dry. Meanwhile, like the belly or like a more fatty area, that would be more like of like the dark meat equivalent. Isn't that correct? So like for tilapia, what if it just has
Is it not
the
red
rest-
meat? I did not know that.
Oh, okay. Well,
Oh,
it's
the
orange
chef just got schooled. Okay.
stupid. It's orange stupid. But,
It's orange meat.
But what if tilapia just has like a much lower fat percentage than salmon though? Like what if it's just like a more muscular genetic fish than salmon? Not to say that salmon isn't like a weak fish, but what if salmon just has a lot more fat content than like a tilapia would on average? That's how my brain would differentiate.
It's all
everything.
considered white meat. To answer the question, I'm also colorblind, so salmon just looks red to me.
Okay.
That's probably where I got it confused.
Yeah.
Which would
to clarify, Eli. Yeah, salmon is orange.
just looks fucking red.
I mean, yeah, it's a very deep orange. I can't describe it to you. Sorry,
But salmon isn't the color salmon? That makes no sense.
yes, but no. It's I can't do food. I can't do color theory right now. Yes, but no is the answer to that statement.
Salmon is orange because of its diet. Yeah, just like a flamingo is pink because of its diet.
Okay, well, what does a salmon eat? I thought salmon just eats like algae or bugs, whatever. But like, anyways, but sorry, Eli. Is my rendition of like differentiating white meat and dark meat correct, or am I completely off?
Listen, man. Light meat and dark meat, I believe, only appears in certain animals too. Is the other thing.
Okay.
Because gonna be honest, I never seen. Because like, you could technically say light meat is just more fattier areas of the animal, where dark meat is less fattier, which is what you were saying. But at the same time, fat and meat are not the same thing.
Okay, but like when you have like a turkey, you make a turkey. There's clearly parts of the bird that are a lot more like moist on average, and that like are less tough than others.
It just depends on the location of and how you're cooking it, because the further into a piece of meat you're gonna go, the slower it cooks. So the juicier it's gonna be.
Okay.
So if, like, that's why you wrap certain things in foil and whatnot.
Okay. Well, okay. Since we're talking about turkeys, I have an American friend who vehemently disagrees that the turducken is an American created culinary dish. Isn't it? Only Americans can think of something that barbaric.
I actually think it's French.
You think it's a French thing? Really? I thought so. A turducken. Do you not know what a turducken is?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. I thought that was an American thing because that sounds exactly like something like an American would make. What if a bird, but inside of another bird, but inside of another bird? Sounds like.
Let's be real. If it was American,
okay, no, it is an American thing.
What if we put?
Okay, I thought so.
What if we put a chicken inside a duck and then put it on a hamburger? That's.
But it is not traditional Americano cooking. It is Cajun cooking.
Yeah, Cajun. That does fall into its own.
That does sound like something the Bayou would do. I did say in the Bayou.
South Central Louisiana.
But anyway, I had one. I made one because I was a butcher for a little bit outside of high school. Still to this day, one of the best Christmas meals I've ever had. You're on to something.
Beef Wellington, British, great Christmas meal as well.
Beef and like meat and bread is like okay in my opinion. It's not like amazing. Pastry, whatever. Pie crust, just put it that way. Meat and like I don't mind like a meat pie, but I don't love a meat pie.
Beef Wellington is just a corn dog for the upper class.
Yeah, and I think corn dogs are mid. I'd rather just have any other hot dog.
Spencer, at my job, we often do Beef Wellington Hot Pockets.
Jeez.
Ian, what are you talking
Eli,
about?
Do you know the YouTuber that makes like the Beef Wellington?
No, I don't actually watch a lot of culinary on YouTube anymore.
It's a complete joke channel, but he actually makes the food where like he makes like a Beef Wellington and then he like flattens it out and then he uses that flattened Beef Wellington as the pastry dough for another Beef Wellington and then he does the same thing again and then he stuffs an entire Beef Wellington into that Beef Wellington. Like he just does that over and over again and it's a complete joke and it's hilarious. And then it comes out with like this like tree log sized Beef Wellington that has like 30 Beef Wellingtons inside of it. It's ridiculous. It's all
what was that old cooking channel?
Julia Child.
No, it was on YouTube and it was they made the most unhealthy food ever.
Couldn't tell you. Sorry.
I don't know. There's a guy that I've caught occasionally who made like he boiled a steak in Monster.
Guga? That sounds like Guga.
It might be that guy.
Yeah, he's the steak guy. He does everything with the steak.
He also cooked a sausage with menthol crystals, which he had to put an advisory at the beginning of the video saying, "Hey, I learned after I made this video, you're not supposed to cook menthol crystals because the fumes can be deadly." Oh boy, that one's a trip.
Oh, it is epic meal time.
Oh, yeah. Epic meal time.
The Baconator lasagna.
Yeah.
That was food I wanted to eat, and now I'm like, maybe like a bite.
I would be sick. Just... Okay,
if I were on death row,
of their lasagnas.
If I were on death row, I would want an epic mealtime meal. Let's put it that way.
1 million calorie lasagna.
Yeah.
Pizza lasagna, which is just lasagna.
I was gonna say that's just what? Pizza lasagna?
The deep dish pizza lasagna. Breakfast lasagna, yeah, that's not a new thing. That's They might actually come up with it, to be fair.
You guys, we've been going for almost 3 hours now. Do we want to keep going?
shit.
I was gonna say
Oh,
I'm
20 to 3, basically.
I'm trying to
shut up.
find my quote now.
Shut up. Oh, quotes.
You and me
fuck.
racing for the same thing.
I always forget about it. I don't, not to be a dick, but I don't normally hang around long enough to remember the quotes. Okay,
I got mine.
I got mine.
Go ahead.
Guests first.
Sure. Classic Stan Lee quote, not his Spider-Man one, but if one ever wants to reach the stars, they mustn't be afraid to fall.
That's a good one.
That one is
mine?
good.
The truth will set you free, but first it will make you miserable. James A. Garfield.
Okay, mine's kind of long. You want to bring back someone that you lost. You might want money, maybe you want women, or you might want to protect the world. These are all common things people want, things that their heart desires. Greed might not be good, but it's not bad either. You humans think that greed is only for money and power, but everyone wants something they don't have. Greed from Full Metal Alchemist.
Gotcha. Nice. I need to finish FMA.
Love
I read
Full
it.
Metal Alchemist.
I read it as a kid and then I stopped halfway through. I didn't go back.
So, when we end, I'm going to have to get off almost immediately because at the very beginning of the podcast, I spilt my drink in my crotch.
Didn't
And
last
I've been-
episode you dropped your phone on your balls? Like you drop things. You poor bastard.
Honestly, I don't know how the drink fell. It just splashed all over my crotch, and I've been sitting in fucking...
with swamp ass the entire podcast.
Yep. And it has been getting more and more uncomfortable as it starts to dry and everything's getting sticky.
Oh no, you poor thing.
You should have gotten up and just changed your pants, dude.
I got my pants off. I'm winning the pooing it right now.
Oh my gosh. Well, on that note, tally ho.
Play ho.
Have
My balls are sticky.
Oh wait, hold on. One more thing. Ian did ask a question, and I do want to make an announcement, if that's okay.
Oh, go ahead.
So earlier this week, exactly a week ago, I reached 1,000 uploads.
Oh yeah, that's right. You told me about that.
Yes. So in celebration, tomorrow when I stream at my normal time, which is 3 to 8 AST, there will be a surprise. I have a surprise that for everyone that can show up, which is really cool. It's something that I have been wanting to get done for months now, but finally got done this weekend. So yeah, stay tuned because it's a new PNG rig, and I want everyone that watches my stuff to be there and to experience it.
Awesome. All right.
No, yet not today, but tomorrow I will, bud. And I have something real new to show that I'm really excited for.
Ian, there's barely any of today left, so I don't know.
It is currently 10:43, so I will not be streaming for an hour and a half.
It's 9:43
I
where we
also
are now, but still.
haven't eaten anything all day, and we started earlier than I thought we would, so I didn't get a chance to eat my dinner yet. So it's still on the stovetop.
It sounds like this whole podcast has been a nightmare. So let's everybody get out of here.
Bob Ross, happy accidents, man. I'm willing to starve to have a good time. It's fine.
All right.
Well, I guess I'm willing to be sticky to have a good time.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I need a shower.
All right. Well, thank you everybody so much for watching. I'll be back tomorrow. I think I'm doing Elden Ring. Dauntless is streaming tomorrow. Check that out. And tally ho!
And Eli has swamp ass. See ya.